It is your Wednesday night sports delight, the platform sports talk show. I am your boy Smooth.
With your girl, buddy.
When it's about sports
It becomes our business.
and business just picked up. And also, right here, if you see it real good, I voted today. Yes, yes, yes.
Shout out for rocking
Yes.
your vote.
There we go. I did the whole voting thing, got it out the way. We're trying to avoid the craziness on the third. I'm glad. Did you already vote, Bunny?
Nope, I will be part of that craziness on November 3rd.
Oh no, go ahead and go in early. You got time. Make it happen, Captain.
I mean, I don't mind going on November 3rd because that gives me an excuse to, you don't have to go to work right away because you get to vote.
Got you. Shouts out to Miss
They work in
Williams.
my favor, you know?
Right. Shouts out to Miss Williams. She says hi Fred, hi Bunny.
Hey, Miss Williams.
Shouts out to everyone watching. This your first time watching. We've been going on 3 years strong, consistently every Wednesdays, occasionally on Thursdays, depending on our special guests. But yes, Miss Williams said she voted by mail, so congrats to you by that. And everyone, vote, vote, vote is very important. It goes down next week, so definitely
Go
get
down in
out
that
there
booth.
and vote. But yeah, once again, for those watching for the first time, thank you very much. We've been going strong, been having some great guests tonight. Doesn't change. You have an incredible guest that's in the getaway. Our first guest in a long time in the
All
getaway.
right.
So I ain't lonely in the getaway right now. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's
Don't
all.
start singing that song. It gets lonely.
I get lonely.
It-
Take it back to the 70s on y'all real
Hey.
quick.
That's that good music, baby. They don't make music like that no more.
Right, right. But yeah, for everyone watching, once again, thank you very much. Go ahead and give us a follow on Facebook, a like on Twitter, and definitely right now, if you're not on YouTube, go on YouTube, put in our show on the bottom of the screen, click on subscribe, and then click on that
Bell.
because anytime we
Like my
go
makeup.
live,
You will be notified.
there it is, there it is. So, what's going on this hump day for you, Bunny?
Let's see. It's going to be another sports drought. We just had the World Series wrap up last night. We don't have any NBA hoops right now. We don't have any hockey, no blues, no tennis going on. We don't have any golf. It's a little slow right now.
A little slow. It's all good though.
A little slow.
Like we said last week, it's our job to provide the entertainment for those who don't have anything to watch on Wednesdays. You don't have no more like Empire on Fox and other kind of shows. We gonna be your
No
show.
power on stars.
We got y'all. We got y'all covered for the next few hours. So sit back, get some popcorn or some good food. Shout out to Kathy's Kitchen. I got some food from her from tonight. Got some
Oh,
chicken
Candy's sweet. Shout out to
oh
her.
yeah, got some chicken and fish and some Cajun fries going. So
Did you know?
hey,
Oh.
I'm good. I'm good right now. I'm ready.
Okay. Thank you for your shout out to Black business.
There
Don't
we
forget if
go.
you can support a Black business. If you haven't done so this month, you still have time.
Yes, let's go ahead and keep the support going strong. Once again, we have an incredible show. So everyone tune in, share this stream with the peoples. It's
Share it
very
with the
important.
people. We try to get the people what they want.
Yes.
But you gotta share it.
Especially for our special guest who we'll be bringing on very soon. He want to make sure that all his peoples is watching, is tuned in, and showing love. And also, disclaimer, if you're on Facebook, you have to comment under the Platform Sports Talk Show. Because if you comment under our guest page or Bunny's page or my personal page, what happens, Bunny?
That's what happens. We won't hear you or see it.
Well, we definitely ain't
Y'all
going to hear
real
you.
quiet. That's what happens. It's quiet. We don't see
We
it.
definitely ain't gonna hear you, but we definitely can't see you as well.
Right.
So comment under the Platform Sports Talk Show, and then we can interact. We can get your questions in. We can hopefully read some good stories about our special guests, and let us know what's going on your mind in regards to sports topics. Like tonight, we're gonna talk about the city of LA doing big things. The Lakers, Dodgers are champions.
Yeah, watch out, Dodgers, though. You may have to put an asterisk, and not because of what they did on the field winning, but that COVID outbreak that may happen.
We
Be
have
careful.
to discuss that. We have to. Of course, NFL talk, a little bit of NBA talk. Got some NBA news that happened today. We will discuss. So if y'all have anything y'all want to display or discuss, go ahead and leave them comments on the screen, and we would definitely interact and enjoy our time with you. So with that being said, Bunny, it's time to go ahead and get right into the round table. So it starts now. News today. Former Houston Rockets GM Daryl Mori is now the new Philadelphia 76ers GM. Your thoughts on that move?
You said Mr. Mori?
Daryl Mori, yes.
Where do I know that name from?
Former Houston Rockets GM.
Oh, that's it? I thought it was something else. So he used to be a GM and now he wants to go, I won't say down, but he wants to do a lateral move and coach now?
No. Same role, but now he with the Sixers.
Okay, so he left the Rockets organization. We know D'Antoni wasn't coming back. He went to Philly. Um, who's coaching Philly again?
Doc Rivers.
Okay, so he went to work with Doc now.
Right.
Hmm.
Try to
But
revitalize
was it
that
just
that
gonna work with
organization.
Doc, or they know the Rockets are about to be in trouble?
I,
Like,
I don't
what's
know. I
going on
mean,
with that? That they don't have a coach or a GM right now.
actually, the Rockets just announced today that they do have a new coach, and it's Paul Silas' son. I got to pull up his name real quick. They just announced it like a few minutes after Daryl Morey got the job with the
Mm-hmm.
Sixers. Let me pull up his name real quick. The power
I
of the
missed that from
internet. Here
ESPN.
we go. Yeah. So the Rockets. Here we go. Come on now. Where's his name at? This coming.
He said Silas' son.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Steven Silas is the new head coach of the Houston Rockets.
Hmm.
So, like I
I
said,
have
we
no
had a
thoughts
few
on it
moves
because I don't
going
know
on.
anything about him.
Yeah, he was with the Dallas Mavericks organization. He was a former
Okay.
assistant coach.
Former assistant coach. Now he getting his opportunity to be a head coach.
Right. So he has the
Okay.
pleasure of coaching up James Harden and Westbrook and that crew.
Hey, I don't see that Harden Westbrook crew. He going to be coaching long. You see how CP didn't get along with Harden? They traded him for Westbrook. Westbrook and Harden, they're two alpha males. That's why it don't work. Plus, both of them are dominant. So good luck coaching that. As far as them going far in the playoffs, you're gonna see what happened with everybody else, excluding 2 years ago. They're not gonna go to the finals, conference final, not NBA finals, conference finals. That unless the GM does some work to get the piece you need, and I don't see them doing it.
And you know it's real anytime you gotta slap your hand on the table. Like they not going to the
They
finals.
not going. I mean, it's almost the definition of insanity. That's doing the same thing over and over, but expecting different results. And whatever the Rockets do, like I said, so congratulations on Silas getting a head coaching opportunity finally. You're not inheriting a bad team, but you're inheriting a team where people have expectations of them going far because of Harden, and I don't see any different results.
Mm. And then it
But
also depends on coaching. Like look at the Lakers back in the day when they had Shaq and Kobe. Phil Jackson was like the perfect guy to coach them because he knew how to handle two alpha males. So it's going to be all about organizational culture and coaching. Look what Spoelstra had to do with the Heat. You know, now Chris Bosh is no alpha male, but you know LeBron and D Wade is. So
but D Wade also eventually told LeBron, "This your team. I'll
right,
step back."
right, and that's what I'm gonna say.
That's not Harden and Westbrook. They will never tell somebody because let's just say if Harden and Westbrook both had a ring already before joining up together. You think they're gonna be like, okay, I got a ring or even two. I'm gonna step back and let this be your team. That's not how they roll, unfortunately.
But and that's
That's
the and see that's the issue, is that if they want to win, someone has to sacrifice. If they truly want to win a championship, you can't have that same mentality, and that's where the coaching and that's where the culture comes into play. You have to have these sit down talks with these two stars and say, hey, if y'all want to get to this pinnacle, like what LeBron is doing, what D Wade did, what Durant, because like Durant and Steph Curry, they could have clashed,
Mhm.
but they never did. But you know why? The culture of
They
the
do their role
organization.
though. They
My point. Exactly. There you
So then you
go.
didn't tell Harden Westbrook to know your role. You
That's
said that's the
that's the
coaching.
point.
Let's hope he has fun. But again, think about it. I don't know how old Silas is. Is he over 50? Under 50? What?
He looks very young.
Okay, so that's gonna be because naturally, just in a regular work office environment, when you have a young manager that has to manage people that are older than him or her, a lot of times you have clashes because the older workers who know their role can't have somebody younger than them telling them what to do. And now let's throw this in with the basketball court. You got somebody that's fairly young. I mean, he's been assistant, I don't know how long, but you got some veteran players who know what they do to get their numbers. They don't have a ring, but they got their numbers, and they all stars. And they're gonna think somebody younger than them gonna tell them how to coach and where to go. Again, you said the alpha males and they should be, know their role so that they can go to that pinnacle. Again, please prove me wrong, but I don't see it happening.
Mm. Yeah, and it all depends on them. But like I said before, if they want to be able to experience that winning championship feeling, not saying it's going to automatically happen because you're going to still have other teams that's going to be playing just as well. But they cannot have that same mentality if they want to get to the top. But that's all on them. Other news, word is that the Clippers are keeping an eye on Rajon Rondo. Thoughts on that move if he
Mm.
goes to the Clippers?
Wait. Can I get a spinoff from that?
Uh oh.
So Rajon Rondo, because he left the Lake, or he's testing the free agency market.
Right.
And have you heard the rumors about maybe CP3 going to the other LA team,
Yeah, I was
taking
saying.
Rondo's old spot? And now, if Rondo goes to the Clippers, CP3 can go to the Lakers. Have you heard them rumors? And do you see how that would be?
I don't know where you was at last week, but we had that discussion.
What do you mean about last week?
Yeah, we had that talk about Chris Paul possibly going to the Lakers when we was talking with Joe Guy Torrey.
You said where was I last week? I'm the one that brought it up to y'all. Let's, but as far as the rumor, I'm saying again with CP3 going to the Lakers, and you brought up as far as Rondo going to the Clippers, like can y'all see that happening for real though?
It depends. It's a domino effect because more than likely, Rondo is not going to be backing up Chris Paul, especially because they have a little beef. So if Rondo, well, excuse me, if Chris Paul signs with the Lakers first, Rondo more than likely would not come back to the Lakers. But if Chris Paul does not go to the Lakers, I can see Rondo joining them again because he was a perfect fit for that team. And Guy Torrey said last week that he was like that glue guy. He was one of those big reasons why the Lakers did what they did, especially when he came back from that injury in the bubble.
So then why won't Rondo go ahead and resign now? Why is he waiting? He just trying to see how much money he can get?
Exactly. That's what Guy Torrey was saying.
Okay, because I'm about to say could have got this wrapped up already.
Yeah, he want to see about that money and see what the free agency gonna be looking like. So we gonna see.
I read today that the NBA only lost like 10%. So like a couple of $1 billion because they had
That's
to
it.
shut down the season.
That's all. Just a couple $1 billion. That ain't nothing to them.
It's not. I mean, they won't ever open their books publicly. Every organization like the Jazz that got sold today for what, 1 point something $billion?
Yeah. Yep.
Then that's probably on the lower end because it's a smaller market.
Right.
So if that's worth $1 billion in Salt Lake City, man, must be nice. All I can say. But anyway, we'll see. I mean, if Rondo go ahead and commit to the Lakers now, there's no room for CP to go there. But if he doesn't, which you said he's trying to test the market, get some more money, then he's leaving it open for him to get there if that's where he wants to go.
Right. A couple of comments from Miss Alice Williams. She says, "I'm old enough to remember when you went into an actual booth and pulled levers for your choice in regards to voting." Wow.
Right.
Then she says, "Kathy's Kitchen Restaurant and Diner is awesome. She's ordered from there through Grubhub." Then she says, "How about that Arizona game?"
How about it? It was a few games actually.
Right.
Because I saw that what the Giants did, what Seahawks losing in overtime, I was like,
So of course she's definitely talking about that incredible play in which DK Metcalf ran like 1,000 yards to catch up with the guy from Seattle Seahawks.
Look, just
I'm
a
sorry,
thousand.
from Arizona, and preventing him from scoring a touchdown off the interception thrown by Russell Wilson.
Look, just 1,000 yards.
I mean, and what's so incredible, we all know dude is big, but for him to have that kind of speed too, he reminded me of Calvin Johnson, like a Calvin Johnson 2.0.
Mm.
He a beast.
Mr. Megatron. Look, Mr. Megatron days too, but
Yeah, but that's here or there. We'll talk about that with our special guest, in which now is the time for all the people who watch it for the first time. We're about to go ahead and bring on this man here. I had a post about it a few times. They say, word around the block is.
I'm gonna say, who was that? You know how we are. Who was that?
Hey, we gonna find out. They say that he's like the greatest athlete coming out of Kirkwood High School forever.
Another Kirkwood person there. Okay. Another Kirkwood boy. Yes. From Coach McWoods to now our special guest. Let me do the drum roll for you.
He also attended Notre Dame, so we got to see how life was in Notre Dame. Or, some like to say Notre Dame, stuff like that.
Notre Dame, yes, Notre Dame.
I'm going to ask him about Rudy. But without any further ado, man, he's a legend. And we have another incredible guest on the show. Everybody, let's show some love to our special guest, Mr. Alvin Miller.
All right, Mr. Miller's in the building, literally.
Yes. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Well, thank you guys for having me on. I look forward to speaking with you tonight.
Yes, it's definitely our pleasure. How things been with you?
Things are, life has been good, kind of crazy during the pandemic. I want to first say I'd like to dedicate my appearance tonight to my wife's mom. We lost her this past Friday, and we lost her husband, my wife's dad, in April. So it's been a tough 6 months, nothing like it. You talk about two awesome people, legends in their own way. They were civil rights people who was there when Dr. King gave his last speech in Memphis. They're from Memphis. They've been in the trenches. She went to Lane, historically black college. He went to Howard, historically black college, and they are just, we lost two awesome people. It's a big hit. It's a big loss, but in honor of them, we shall go on and do great things, and we shall continue their legacy.
That is correct.
All right. Excuse me, Mr. Mill. Nobody ever told you. Sound like you could be a preacher in your former life.
Stay tuned.
All right.
He coming in leaving teasers already. We love it.
Bring it. Let's go.
Yes. So, of course, we all know we've been going through this pandemic. Has that affected things going on in your life?
I think it has, even when you don't know exactly how, but it has. I'm giving an example. I told my wife, I probably said it to her either twice a week. There's a commercial that comes on, and it's not sponsored by anyone. The screen just turns yellow. The black letters show up on the screen, and it says, "It's okay if you're not okay." It's a real creepy public service announcement, but it's basically saying to you, obviously, that you're going to be going through some things during this time. I think the key is that even though you can't hug somebody, you can't shake hands, but you can still pray. You can still reach out to a higher power. And though you can't hug your friends, you can still reach out to them and talk to them and Zoom with them. It's really important that we stay in contact and touch with people. There are people who live by themselves. There are couples who have one child who can't mingle with the other kids. And it's so important that somehow we socialize with others, especially for young kids. It's just so vital. It's just a tough time, and one mistake, we all get sick, and we don't want that to happen. So every little step we take, we have to think about what we're doing, how we're doing, to be considerate of others. But if nothing else, we have to pray. And so far, the Millers, we've been still trying to have a good time within the storms that we've been dealing with. But the beat goes on.
Yeah. And I know that you have a daughter that goes to UCLA.
Yes.
Which we could tell more so later on, but was she affected, or was I know that for a minute schools wasn't allowing kids to go back into the schools for university for a minute, right?
She was very much affected. It was kind of interesting because, first of all, I feel like I want to first say, I want to be fair. The number one team when the season ended was South Carolina. So I'm going to give and say to them, I consider them the champs. They were number one when the season was canceled. And it's hard, I'm going to say it's hard for me to say that, but however, I really think my Bruins were going to give them a run for their money in the tournament. They were going to be have to go to South Carolina, but nonetheless, she was affected. The season was canceled. Then after that, you couldn't go back to school, can get back on campus. She was taking classes, so she was at home. And then finally, at that time, you couldn't even do much here in St. Louis. So she was basically just waiting to be able to go back and go into action. But I tell you what, man, she's really done a great job getting back in shape. They had to go back to, they finally made it back to UCLA. They were quarantined for a little bit, and now they're practicing together, doing a great job. She's being tested every 3 days for COVID. We had if you will, a family conversation. She was able to see grandma 2 months ago. So with that being said, she will stay in LA because she'll be ended up being behind because she would have to come out of LA. And when you go back, you have to quarantine. So she would lose some time there. And we know that grandma and grandpa will want, we call her Lala, will want Lala to be in the best position to try to win a championship this year. So therefore, she's going to stay and remain in LA while we all travel to Memphis for the service.
And for those watching who, of course, may not know her per se, let everybody know her name and what sport that she played in position.
Lauren Miller, she's the 5 for UCLA. She does a great job. She's not 6'4", 6'5". She's 6'2", so she normally takes on girls who are taller than her. But because she played with her against her older brother growing up, who I told him to push her around but don't kill her. So with that being said, she's used to kind of battling underneath, and she does a great job. She got some great post moves and so forth. This is her 4th year of basketball. However, she graduated early. So she graduated in 3 years. So she's doing graduate work, which is paid for totally under the scholarship. So we like to tell young people to get that education. Make sure basketball uses you, but you got to use basketball as well.
Right. So shouts out to Lauren Miller holding things down on the West Coast. We had this little
girl power.
Exactly. We had this mean little discussion, but LA is a hotbed right now.
LA, it sure is. I was really concerned and worried when they brought that ship in. That was going to be the hospital. They were going to use UCLA as a hospital. So as bad as it is, it's not as bad as it was. I want to say congratulations to the city with the Lakers winning the championship, the Dodgers winning the championship, and I think there'll be a few more championships coming to the city of LA.
A few more, Bunny. You hear that?
I'm all for the Lakers, but you may have some people that may getting offended because they may think in the Chargers or maybe that other football team may be trying to bring something. I don't know.
Or just maybe there's some colleges in LA, but we'll stay tuned.
I mean, I don't know. USC, I mean, the MLS team is out there too. LA Galaxy. Right. They can do something. I mean, the Sparks, they're there too.
There you go. See, a lot of teams can become champions out there.
Yeah, the city of champions.
But not just LA. We got teams in other cities too. So I'm just saying.
Well, she definitely hoping the other team outside of LA will win, especially that team that just left from here going to LA.
Please don't let them win.
Oh man, if that happens, Lord, we are not going to hear the last of it.
No. Mr. Miller, let me ask you this. If I hopped in the car with you right now, you turned on the radio, what will be coming out those speakers?
What will be coming out those speakers? You will probably definitely hear some old school. Right now, my daughter and I, when we came back from Memphis, we were blasting some Kurt Franklin, okay. I got $25 in my pocket and another $5 in my glove compartment, and it's going to be okay. So that's what you will hear blasting. But then as the rag goes a little bit longer, I just got to go back to the good old days and play a little bit of a flashlight. And then you're going to hear about 4 or 5 songs of DeBarge.
Okay.
That's where my wife tells me that I watch too many of the unsung that come on.
I love that show.
I think I've seen them all. And I always end up almost crying because I see the different families, the things that happen. Whereas, as a kid growing up, I didn't know the whole story. And to find out that so many families were just on the top list with hits, and then all of a sudden things happened. And unfortunately, the family group, it all split up. So it's just unfortunate. But man, I love watching Unsung and just seeing what happened to those groups and just the history and good music. I mean, if no one makes any more music ever, I'll be okay.
It's funny how you brought up the barge because I went to a concert for Valentine's Day at the Chaffetz, and it was a very poorly produced concert. He was the first act, and he had his keyboard, and he had a little laptop where he was playing music. He had like a live band behind him. He just had the keyboard, and he had the tracks playing on the keyboard, but the sound quality from the keyboard wasn't to his liking. So he kept on having them to try to like fix the sound. Then while he was playing, the keyboard would go out, or when he's singing, his voice would leave. So he just had a bad time. He couldn't really get comfortable and get into the mode. So he's singing. What's that song I love?
I'll Call Your Name. I know that's Switch. I'm sorry.
It's coming real quick. Your special way.
What more can I say? Just love me.
There
you go. There you go.
That is my cut, and he really couldn't sing it because he kept on having too many audio issues. Then he'll get to the other songs, and it's like, oh man, this sucks.
Yeah. Speak of the barge.
Then I posted a video like 2 weeks ago where he had a prior concert somewhere else. I guess he just has a bad luck with concerts, but he tripped over the keyboard stand. He just bloop bloop and fell like super fast. He kind of jumped up like nothing happened, but I'm like, he had some bad luck with.
Maybe he should stick to videos.
Something. We have a few comments from a lady that you may know.
Okay.
Miss Roberta McWoods.
Okay. I claim her.
Says he is not just the greatest to come out of Kirkwood High School. He is one of the greatest athletes in Missouri. All-American in football, basketball, track and field state champ. He won state for Kirkwood almost by himself with just one other person. Amazing person and athlete. How does it make you feel hearing something like that?
It really means a lot to me. I think it goes back to just your upbringing. I can take credit for who I am and what I am and how I am, but I really can't. It's just something that my parents instilled in me early on, and I learned and I used those lessons. And I must admit, I'm still learning. Sometimes my wife instills things in me as well. Like, I didn't know that. Now I know that. I move on. I'm better. So I just think that I was just blessed to have a great upbringing. I mean, we didn't go to Disney World, but I tell you what, we had a heck of a time in the world.
Yeah. Now, last week, if you saw the show, Guy Torb was on, and we know Guy is Roberta McWoods' little brother.
And a very funny man.
Man, that was an incredible show. So, Guy, thank you very much. Miss McWoods.
Shout out to Guy, yes.
Miss McWoods, thank you for allowing us to have Guy on the show as well, along with our special guest. So, I want to turn the course a little bit because she talked about you. Now, Guy didn't say a lot of good things about his sister last week.
He was just hating on it.
Just hating. But what are your thoughts about her?
When you look at it, Roberta McWoods has done so many things, not just for the Kirkwood school system, but for the Kirkwood community. And one thing she has really done, I feel, is that she has instilled in little kids that they can become whatever they want to be, and they can achieve great things. And even though you want to do things for all kids, just like I do, but somewhere, I can't tell you why, but something has happened within our little black children. They have different needs because of what is going on. It's not a matter of trying to figure out who, what, when, where, and why, but it's a matter of where there's a fire, we got to put water on it. And she does an awesome job of putting water on the different fires in the community and trying to make it better. And I must, as I commend her, I have to commend my wife because they're like Batman and Robin. And some days one is Batman, some days the other one is Robin. But they truly get it done for the community overall. And it's really neat. And I'm going to say this. Roberta does things, she's retired, but when you retire, you still do different things for the district. So you don't totally go away. My wife she's coming close to retirement. And I'm going to say this, that Kirkwood School District need to pick their brains, find out how they do it, what all they do. They do things they don't even take credit for because we're losing two legends and the district will never be the same if we can't halfway replace them. No one can fill their shoes, but man, we got to at least put the left one on when they leave.
And she even brought that up. Bunny, remember when she was on our show, how she was saying that she may get back into doing something for Kirkwood.
Yep.
So hopefully,
I told her to make sure she keep it going and help out the next teachers. There's an organization she's a part of, she said. And I said, please keep just teaching and bringing on the next group. Yeah.
Yeah, that K-Talk is serious. They do an awesome job. They really do.
Yeah. And she says, "Oh, thanks, Alvin." Then she said that your wife is the GOAT.
Okay, yeah, she's the GOAT. She keeps me in line, so she's the GOAT.
How? If you don't mind me asking, how did you and your wife meet?
Here's how we met. Because of Kirkwood, I was visiting the day before Turkey Day, and they have all the hallways decorations and all. And I was taking my niece up there to look at the hallway decorations. And while walking around, I went to go see my old high school football coach, Stl Cardinals. And so went to his office and I said, Coach, there's a girl in the hallway. She's fussing at another girl. You know, Kirkwood is very innovative and try different things throughout the years. And I said, is this a new program where the kids are in charge so the teacher doesn't have to get after them? Another, peer kind of, yells at them and kind of keeps them straight, what have you. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, she's in the hallway and the other girl is just sitting there listening to her. He looks out there, he said this, you lughead, that's the teacher. I said, man, we didn't have science teachers like that. I would have taken biology twice. So, but there it goes. That's the history.
Nice.
So that's how I met my wife at Kirkwood High School.
Nice. I got some follow-up questions that we had to ask in regards to y'all being together doing your illustrious career at Kirkwood and then going to Notre Dame. But before we get to that, let's take it all the way back to your childhood. When would you say you developed your love of sports?
I developed my love of sports. I grew up in an area, Clinton and Fillmore. We call it the neighborhood. I'm sure everybody calls their neighborhood that, but when we say neighborhood, it's my neighborhood. So we played ball there, and when you came outside, no one said, how old are you? You on this team, how old are you? You just came outside. And next thing you know, as I look back, I laugh because I was playing against guys who were 4 years older than me. And it's neat because when I see them now, they say, Alvin, man, we saw it in you early, man. We knew. So they kind of got a little rougher with me because they saw my potential, right? And so I was fast, but I didn't know I was fast because I wasn't as fast as, say, a guy who was 3 years older than me. So I didn't go home saying, man, that old guy beat me. I went home saying, I got to get faster. I got to beat him. So only years later, you realize, man, we were going up against older guys. We divided up, or we all split up, but it's amazing the number of guys who got scholarships out of my neighborhood. And I look at it, kind of go, where did you get your moves from and different things? And I laugh because when I was a kid, my street seemed so big. And I look and I go like, no, because you got to make all those moves because you played touch football as a kid. So you got to get those moves. Nobody could touch you. And look at the street. It was a tight street anyway. So it's just those things that all happened in the neighborhood. Street light came on. You had to go home. It was just one of those things. We were all together. Didn't matter what age you were. You played ball. We played ball. We played football. We even played street hockey. We played cork ball. I mean, we did everything. And I just think it all goes back to that. Like it takes a village, and I had an awesome village. I mean, even this year I lost my godmother. I mean, you talk about everybody was at the games and we were all together. It's just it was a great time. It was a great time.
It's cool how you brought that about the neighborhood. I know if my mom was watching, shouts out to her, she can attest. But back when I was staying in U City, you recall the old spot in U City, Bunny, don't you?
Which spot?
The old house in U City.
Oh, yeah, it was off of the 89th Street or something. It was
Street.
off the main street.
Yeah, 78th Street.
78th Street, there you go, yeah.
But yeah, back when I was a little child, me and like at least 4 or 5 of my friends, we was always on the street playing basketball, playing baseball. It was my boy had a small little half court basketball in the backyard. I would have something like we had pitching going. Enjoy that to the fullest like they used to back in the old days.
Right.
When you know, like you said, it didn't matter how old you were. But if you out here, you gonna play. You know.
And you just reminded me of something. I had a kid who he had a basketball goal. His dad hooked up to the garage, and we were up there all the time. And his dad, like, uh, maybe Wednesday and Thursday, take a break. I don't want everybody up here playing basketball. So we didn't want to not play basketball. So someone had to look out for when his dad, he was a construction worker. So someone had to look out for the truck. So it was your turn to look out for the truck. And one time somebody forgot to pay attention and was watching the game. And man, his name was Mr. Retman. But your neighborhood, side, that was his first day, right? We never called him back. But anyway, so he came over the hill and the guy forgot to warn us that he was coming. Man, he pulled up, we were hooping, but it wasn't that big. It was kind of funny. He was still a nice guy, but it was just funny. We got busted. We were out there playing on the goal, like, oh, and then we all just walked away all innocent, like we weren't playing. So it's just those memories that come back and you realize how special your childhood, how special it was. But at the same time, because people have changed, we do things different with our kids. It was funny, like say for instance, when my kids were growing up, there was a man who said to me, "Hey Alvin, I saw the kids up there riding their bikes." And I said, "I saw you." He said, "Where were you?" I said, "My kids don't ride their bikes alone." So I'm in the car about 2 blocks behind, but I'm watching because that's the times we live in now.
Right.
We got that little white van that drives around doing crazy things. I haven't heard about that lately. But anyway, we just do things different now. Just because, but it's unfortunate, but still we got to get kids to get out and be together. We have to watch them more than we used to because we got to continue that with the kids. It's so important.
It is. What was
Definitely having that village there, at least your friends and who they're playing with, and they know they can go to you, or they don't mind you. Their parents, letting your kids hang with each other.
Doing their thing.
That's very important.
So true.
So someone that you may know says Kirkwood's finest. Her name goes by Ramona Miller.
Oh man, I know her very well. I appreciate that. I think is neat is that I was I'm going to say a has-been. I was no longer involved in athletics when I met my wife. So it was neat, and she laughs and shakes her head because every time we run into somebody, as if she wouldn't have known the story, right? They'll go, I remember when Alvin, and she still grins and bear it because she hears another story. Sometimes it's the same story. She go, I know. And kind of ironic because I told her that it was meant to be. I scored only 1 touchdown in college, and that touchdown was in the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, and I always teased her and said, you saw me in Memphis. You were just waiting to get hold of me. So, but her dad saw the game, but she didn't. But we played it in Memphis. It was like 23 degrees, one of the coldest days ever in Memphis in Liberty Bowl, 1983. And I caught my first touchdown. I thought it was going to be one of many, but then the knee injury came along, and the rest is history. But ended up with a great wife, so I guess I can't complain.
There you go. You're a champion for life.
That's right.
I know, right?
That's right.
Good woman. Yeah, shout out to your wife.
Baby.
It is. So another comment from Miss McWood. She says, "I wish those days could come back once more. Why did those days ever have to go?" In regards to kids playing, in the front, on the street, playing all different sports. She says, "I wish those days could come back once more. Why did those days ever have to go?"
Well, as good words from Stevie Wonder, I think that when you look at it too, society and the cost of living has gone up.
Yeah.
And also, excuse me, and that has led to many of moms having to go into the workforce along with dad. And with that being said, we lost a few set of eyes in the neighborhood because mom is at work. And then we know even more so when sometimes mom is just mom, it's mom and the kids, a single mom, then we really lost a set of eyes because she has to go to work and provide for her kids. And that has just changed the dynamics of the neighborhood. Life has changed. And it's so important for neighborhoods to have some type of neighborhood watch or something where they get together, they meet, everybody knows everybody. And I say that because it was so heartwarming. I was in the backyard there in Memphis at Ramona's folks' house, and the neighbors all found out that she had lost her mom. And I was talking to a lady over the fence. It was kind of interesting. She was talking. She said, "How's it going? How's the family?" I said, "We're good." Then I realized this is kind of odd. I said, "Let me kind of chill my tippy toes." It was a wooden fence. So she got to say, "Oh, hey," she could kind of see who she's talking to. I could see who she is. And she handed me a piece of paper. And on the piece of paper was a list of all the neighbors that she had contacted to let them know that Mrs. Hawkins had passed.
Wow.
And that just, I just sat down in the patio and just thought, wow, that's the village. That's a village. You know, Mom was 88 when she passed. Dad was 97. So they had been neighbors with these people for like over 50 years. And then there was a knock on the door. Answer the door. It was Mr. Harris. And why was Mr. Harris knocking on the door? Because the last parent had just passed. He brought a sandwich bag. And in that sandwich bag was the garage door opener and 2 keys to the house. Remember when at least one neighbor had a way to get into your house? That's a village. That doesn't happen anymore. But they've been neighbors for over 40, 50 years. So somebody had the key to the house and a garage door opener that was a neighbor. So it's just like the ending of just a great era, if you will. You know, neighborhoods today they don't like that anymore. I mean, you can find people. I could ask you what's your neighbor's name, and they might know the name, last name, or even first name, but they don't really know their neighbors.
Right.
So you don't. No one goes next door to get sugar anymore.
Nope.
Well, you know, another thing also when you're talking about the neighborhood and village, people move so much more nowadays.
That's true.
Whether in the same city or to another city. So to have a neighborhood established with the same residents after 5 years is phenomenal.
That's long.
So let alone
That's long.
decades. Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, stability isn't the same nowadays in this world. So that's very unfortunate because, like you say, you're not able to have a village when everyone is already.
The village keeps changing now.
Yeah,
it keeps changing.
Hard to have that foundation. So once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. I am your boy Smooth, along with
Bunny.
and we have special guests.
Alvin Miller.
There we go, Bunny. He knew it. He ready.
I know he was on it. He said, I don't have to get ready. I stay ready. I hear you.
It's like being part of a rap group. Know when you jump in and say your part.
There it is. Hey, he coming in. He like doing the jump rope. He coming in. Okay, here we go.
Oh,
here we
you
go.
ready?
Alice Williams agrees with you, Bunny. Said that's a good point that you just made.
The village that
Yes.
Mr. Miller's referring to, and I know you said your spot, you had a U City. I know I had that growing up as well. And my parents are the older group out of the neighborhood right now. They've been in their house longer than I've been born. So we've had that in the past where some of our friends who moved away, their parents have passed away, and they'll come back and find my parents and let them know, you know, they get the information to them because they are the last of the Mohicans on our whole block. Actually, 2 blocks worth. So, yeah.
So you talked about playing in the streets. What was the very first sport that you fell in love with?
I'm going to tell you something that's interesting that I tell my kids, and that is fall in love with competing, fall in love with trying to win and doing whatever you do. And it's something I never told my kids what sport to play, but they just knew they were going to play a sport. My son played football and did track. He's part of the first Kirkwood football team to make it to the championship. They didn't win, but they made it to the championship. Both my daughters played 1 year together in basketball. Baby girl was a freshman. My oldest daughter was a senior, played basketball. Both also coach with Coach McWoods on the track team. So I said to say that for me, the first sport I fell in love with, it was just going outside and competing. And then I guess I would say football. If I had to pick one I fell in love with, it was very close. I fell in love with all of them, but football. I played Little League football only for 1 year. And it was that time when, and they may still do it now, when you have to lose weight or you were too big or what have you. So I had to play up, which wasn't a problem. Playing with anybody wasn't a problem for me. So my dad gave me, you're talking about when I was in 9 or 10 years old, this was big time. He gave me $1 for every touchdown. And man, I was tearing it up. Motivation. And but check this out, my dad was also a smart man. When I scored 4 touchdowns in a game, he changed it to 50 cents. so I'm like, you can't do that. The contract, but see, I didn't sign a contract. See, that's the whole problem.
I was about to say, he renegotiated your contract. You didn't even have one signed.
Right, I didn't even sign one. I had a terrible agent, which was none. So he changed that. But I played 1 year, and then But some people don't realize I love talking to kids, especially Roberta's son, Eric McWoods, because my first love, I love football the most, but my first love was soccer.
Wow.
And I played for St. Peter's soccer team, first for the Kirkwood elementary school team, and then ended up playing with St. Peter's soccer team. And actually, I had played soccer more than I played football. And actually, I was offered an opportunity to go to the Smith and SLU to play soccer. But the Smith was going to let me also play basketball. They knew that. But no one wanted me to play football because they knew I played soccer. But I knew I played football in the streets. And my philosophy has always been, if you can't get me in touch football, you surely can't get me in tackle.
Right.
And that's how I rolled through in high school. It's a interesting story. A lot of times I had a great conversation with my coach, and he said, Alvin, I wish I had given you the ball more. And I was glad to hear that, because in high school, if you don't know, I didn't get the ball as often or as much. But when I did get it, man, things happened. So I tell people, I had a good friend of mine, Robert Banks, who when I got to Notre Dame, he said, man, I've been waiting to see who they call the number one football player in the nation and why it wasn't me. He said, you only caught X number of passes. I said, hey, it's not the number of passes I caught. It's what I did when I got it. And he just started laughing. But it's, but my first love was soccer. And then I went on to play football at the high school, play basketball, and also ran track. And people don't realize that the first 2 years, I don't want to tell kids this because it's for different reasons, but I quit track twice. Wow. Because after football, then basketball, then when track season came along, I was kind of burnt out. And so my first 2 years, I just went home and watched Speed Racer and ate donuts. And so that's what I did for first 2 years. But I did go out and I left. Then my third year, I was a junior. And the guys who were seniors, it was the last time to be their teammates and compete. So we all went out for track and had some success. And then senior year, the rest is history. I won the 110 high hurdles, the 100-meter hurdles, 300-meter hurdles, 110 highs, and then the 200 meters dash and 100-meter dash. And the neat thing about that is I had a teammate that people forget about. I had enough points to win state, but my teammate competed on Friday night, if you follow me. He competed on Friday night. He got third. He broke Kirkwood's record. He might have jumped to 22-3 or something like that, but he got 7 points. And that 7 points, people say it wasn't needed, but it was needed because that 7 points helped me relax, realizing I don't have to win all 4 events for us to win state because we have some points. Mm-hmm. So even though I got enough points to win state, if it wasn't for those 7 points, I wouldn't have been able to relax and focus and enjoy my events the next day because of Richard having success the night before. Mm-hmm. So that's something that really gets lost in the shuffle. And my kids always joke about it, but he was my teammate. He got some points first, and that made it easier for me to relax and do what I had to do on Saturday, winning all 4 of my events.
So when you brought up soccer earlier, why do you feel that soccer is not one of those sports that our culture likes to play a lot?
Well, the thing is, I'm gonna have some fun with you. What's our culture? You know why I say that jokingly because everywhere around the world, they play soccer.
Right.
People of color, they play soccer. But here in America, wow, it's like, how did that get lost?
It's foreign.
That only Eric McWoods plays soccer. And I think part of the problem is it's marketing. I mean, and American soccer players don't get paid like soccer players around the world. So it's marketing. It's also financial. And I think some kids, they see basketball and football and go for that. And they also see the scholarships, but scholarships are in soccer as well. And with that being said, I have a couple of guys who were top soccer players in college who are going to help me because I just stopped coaching football after 15 years volunteering coaching middle school football. And I think that football is fine without Alvin Miller. Kids will still get a chance to play football and do their thing. But my next goal is to focus on girls basketball. I'm looking for another Lala. She's out there. I just got to find her. and get her focused, and have another girl going to UCLA, but also boys playing soccer, especially black boys, little boys of color playing soccer. And I say that because once you introduce it to them, I think something can happen, because a lot of times football isn't for everybody. And once you get hit, it may not be for you at all. And I just think some aren't tall enough for basketball. They may not be fast enough in football or what have you, but still soccer is another opportunity. I want to be sure that kids are introduced to soccer as well as baseball, and then have a chance. If you don't like it, that's fine. However, it's really exciting and fun, but if you don't know that, and it's also something, baseball is something you have to learn early. You can't be 15 and want to try to see a fastball coming at you.
Right,
You just can't do it.
Right.
So it's a different world. But I think I'm going to be introducing soccer and sports that are not normally introduced to certain communities, to introduce them to those communities.
So it looks like we had some earlier comments. I just want to go ahead and try to get them addressed.
Okay.
Your wife said, Mrs. Miller, that Alvin has allowed us to share our village with other kids in our home.
Wow. Who's that?
Your wife said that.
Oh, she said, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
She said that you have allowed, you basically allowed them to share the village with other kids.
We have. I tell you what, if I say a kid wants to do right and live right and has potential, but his situation isn't what you would want it to be, we have totally welcomed them in. It's so neat because my daughters, people look and go, how many brothers do you have? They'll say, that's my big brother. And one thing I had to tell those young men is that be careful, because sometimes, like when my son was at school and someone was picking on my son, and before he can go tell his mom or walk away from it, all of a sudden this guy just got kind of body slammed. And the guy goes, you mess with my brother. The guy looks like, how are you related to him? So it's like, because of our relationship with so many kids, they have adopted our kids as their little brother and little sisters. So people don't realize there's a lot of Millers out there you're not aware of. So we have, and what's neat is in return, all the love that comes back and the things that they've done, they're doing with their kids. And that's when you know it worked. You know, one time was a situation, and, you know, kids are kids. Some of the kids were Kirkwood. They like, Coach Miller, some of the kids didn't go to bed last night, the other night before the game, what have you, so on and so forth. And I thought, what are you guys doing? So to make sure I knew it wasn't them, we had about 7 football players spending that at our house the night before the game. So it was like,
that was smart. That was very smart.
You know, it's not us, Mr. Miller. We with you. So it's like,
Right.
So I thought that was, I just thought it was neat. You know what I'm saying? It's just things like that. So it's just been awesome, because you have this whole string of extra kids. You know, birthdays, what have you, they hit you up or whatever. You know, it's just really, it's neat. And we don't ever, they're with us always. You know, as we talk about, it takes a village. We put our money where our mouth is.
Going back to the neighborhood, playing on the streets and everything, Miss Williams said it was the same when I grew up in upstate New York, when her son Ed, one of my best friends, was growing up. Not so much, because partly their street was on a major street. Off of Lucas and Hunt.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
can't do
out
Lucas
there.
and Hunt.
Right. You have to,
You can't do anything on Lucas and Hunt. If y'all know what I'm talking about, y'all know what I mean.
Right.
Lucas and Hunt, you can't do nothing.
right.
Man, on Lucas and Hunt, that feel like it's a NASCAR roadway, man.
goodness.
Everybody's flying and speeding on that street.
All night.
Lucas and Hunt, you cannot do nothing.
That is a NASCAR roadway.
Then she said they also didn't have the summer programs at local school playgrounds like we had growing up.
Wow.
Yep. Miss McWoods. Yes, we should get to that in a second. So I'm going to say that for later. I'm going to say that, Miss McWoods. Then your wife says that's why your son went overseas, because of soccer, I believe.
McWoods, Eric McWoods.
Right.
Roberta's son went overseas to play soccer.
Oh, I'm
And-
sorry.
Oh, that's
right. You're
Yep,
right. Miss
yep.
McWoods' son.
And the one thing I'm going to make sure is he's one of the people, one of the persons who's going to help me is for introducing soccer to our youth, because it's just great. You know, you have one ball. It doesn't take a lot of money, but these programs charge a lot, and before you know it, it becomes for the ritzy ones. And I'm going to make it to whereas every kid who wants to play can play. Like I say, football has been introduced enough. It's there. Enough people doing basketball is there. So my goal is I'm going to find these guys. We're going to have a soccer team, and get ready. It's a new sheriff in town.
Get ready, y'all. Sound like
Mr.
Miss
Miller, let me
McWills
ask
as
you
well.
this. Since you,
Stay tuned.
oh. You just brought up a good point where you said as far as soccer doesn't cost that much to have, but it seems like it's ritzy or it gets priced out for people at a younger age.
Right, right.
So why is it football is, I was told, is quote unquote an expensive sport because of all the equipment. But yet look how many people in low income areas or from communities that don't have a lot of money
But play
that
football.
have a lot of football team play. I mean, I don't get it. I guess it's more football players than on the soccer team, but yet
Here's
football is cheaper than soccer.
no. Here's what it is. Let me give you one example. We've only named one soccer player tonight, and that's Eric McWoods. And I apologize that I don't know any others. And I say that because the more you have, the more chances you have of having more. So you have more football players. You have more. Jeremy Macklin came along, played football, went pro. Then Jeremy Macklin helps out Little League football program so that kids will be able to play. I had a football program, and I don't have deep pockets like Jeremy Macklin, but I do have those who have deep pockets. And my wife even helps me. She got a deep pocket. Her pocket's deeper than mine. So we do things as far as buying helmets, buying shoulder pads. So really, we have a registration fee, but the kid can't pay it. We play ball. We make it happen regardless. And soccer can do that. But I can say this, and if people think I'm wrong, that's fine. But soccer programs, quite often, it's their way of making a living. So the cost is higher. Football programs, the coaches are going in their pockets quite often to take care of Billy and Sammy and Tommy and doing what's needed for them to be able to play. And that's why I'm going to go with, I know they have these soccer programs in town. I'm going to become a soccer program and therefore have people support me where kids who can't afford to play will still play soccer and still feel like they want to be a part of that program because just human nature. I didn't make the rules, but you go out to the bird cage at the zoo. For some reason, the flamingos are over there. The so-and-so bird storks are over there. Birds of a feather are flocking together. So if kids don't see someone in soccer that looks like them, a kid may not want to go play soccer. So I'm going to make sure that's not a reason why they don't want to play. And I think it's great exercise. It's just awesome. And it's going to be a lot more opportunities. Because just as sure as Eric McWoods is a great soccer player playing pro soccer, there's another Eric McWoods who just didn't have the parents like he did and didn't go the soccer route because he thought, soccer's not for me, because it has to be more than one Eric McWoods, and I'm about to find that Woods.
And that's kind of been the same.
Okay, thank you for
vibe.
that good explanation.
That's kind of been the same vibe with baseball with our young African Americans as well, is that they see it as being so expensive and trying to take these trips out of town, and it costs an arm and a leg. So it kind of, the parents may lose interest in trying to keep their kids in it because of the hardship of trying to keep them staying on the team.
Right. And one thing that has happened with baseball, first of all, let me say this. I know I'm not very knowledgeable of baseball. One time during my popular days, Jack Buck and Mike Shannon welcomed me down to Busch Stadium.
That's incredible.
For many baseball games. And I was sitting up in the booth with them.
Wow.
And it was so neat as Mike Shannon, and he knew my background was not baseball. He was a big CBC legend, St. Louis high school player, and then 3-sport star. And so he would go down, take me through the locker room and walk around, be on the field for batting practice and what have you. And he would talk me through it because he knew I knew nothing about baseball. He would reach back and go like, I'm just about to be a curveball. Like, oh man, curveball, right?
Right.
And then Jack Buck talking, and it was just great. And that was my learning of baseball. So with that being said, one thing I do know, some of the old guys, some of the old African American men who taught and coached baseball have gone on, right? And a couple of them are too old, but many have died. And I say that for whatever reason, the football guys have replaced the old black men who coached football. But for whatever reason, the old black men who died who coached baseball their former players didn't pick up where they left off. And therefore, there goes the numbers for little black boys playing baseball. And I think that's unfortunate because it's more opportunities. So that's something that needs to be, that's being addressed just to get to that, because I can get bats, I can get fields, I can get everything. I just need to get kids to buy into it. But I'm not going to go get a 14-year-old kid to have a fastball coming at him, because I know that's a different world. So we got to start with the little ones and bring them up and through, because a 14-year-old kid, I mean, he can try it, but you can't have a whole team of 14-year-olds playing baseball who haven't played.
Right.
Because it's too late for baseball. That's my opinion. It's too late. That's a different world.
Shouts out to Naomi Miller. She says, great interview. Then she says, hey, Romo. I guess that's your wife's nickname.
Right.
Says,
Right.
how you feeling? Then, they had a little side conversations on YouTube. Thank you, ladies. And then Stephen Lawrence says, great interview, Al. You're doing BOND, pride.
Oh, wow. I'm touched. He says
Okay.
BOD stands for Brothers of Notre Dame.
Nice.
There were a few of us at Notre Dame, and we were homesick. Steve was from Michigan. I'm from here, the 314. We had Banks, Tim Brown, Byron Sprell, Marv Spence, Boo Boo, Joel, Brandy, Milt Jackson, Haywood. I'm missing somebody. I hope anyway. And we all came together because we were homesick and we had each other. And Notre Dame was a different world, if you will, even back then. I mean, we had a very low percent of African Americans on campus, and we kind of bonded with each other. And to this day, we still do. And the first one of us passed last October. We lost Milt Jackson at age 55. He had a heart attack, and it really just knocked us all down and brought us all a little bit closer. I got a chance to see his son plays football for University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. My friend's son is playing football, and I told his wife I'm going to keep up with him like his dad would have, to keep in touch with him. So I appreciate those comments, Steve. Steve's a good guy. I had to go back and forth with him. He's a retired police officer, so I can't tell him everything.
We ain't trying to have no kind of breaking news.
You can't tell him everything, but you can tell him something.
Oh, I love it. But you know what? I tell you what, though, he gives great advice. And the best conversation we had one time was about, especially within the black community, I think we are coming to grips more so with mental health. You know, we just can't say Alvin's tripping, Alvin's crazy. No, it's mental health. And I think we're doing better with mental health in our community, and still need to do a better job of recognizing it, realizing it. And also when we call for help, that they need to know that person is not just a bad guy. He's not a criminal. He has mental health issues. So if we can kind of come at him with some love and not so much a drawn gun, then we could win in the end.
Quick question, y'all. This is off the subject, but I'm glad you just said that.
The subject is always life, so it's never off the subject.
Oh, okay. There you go. So, you know about the shooting that just happened in Philadelphia with another unarmed black man, and the family are coming out saying that he had mental illness, has mental health problems. And I was wondering, even prior to this shooting that just happened, why is it if a call is to police or law enforcement, if it is stated that the person has a mental illness, why won't they send like a psychiatrist on call, or even have the law enforcement with some what's that stuff you can put to make somebody fall asleep for a while? Something like a tranquilizer or something. I mean, they not be what I'm talking about, but something to where I can put them to sleep real quickly without harming them compared to what's going on now. I'm just curious, has that ever been thought about or spoken with anyone?
You know, you bring up a good point. I know someone was saying that as far as the police having some other group or someone intervene before the police went, or something like that. And I don't know, every situation is different. And because of what's going on with me personally, I'm not familiar with what happened in Pittsburgh as I am with other things here lately. But I can say that I think a lot of times people, when they call the police, it's a matter of what is being communicated. And even if something is communicated, what is being heard through that communication. Because it's been plenty of times that I've had situations years ago in my family when someone needed some help, and they thought that the police would have been called. But at that time, it's almost like they went to the police like, whoa, we just need you for backup. We need you to jump in. So I wasn't there to know that the people real like when the police arrive, hey, here's a situation. I'm going to go in first. I don't fear him. Here's what he's got going on. And I believe was it a knife that he had in his hand that I don't think it wasn't a gun. I don't believe.
Right. It was. I can't recall exactly what it was.
Right. Because
they assume the
right.
worst.
Because sometimes I feel like when you look at it, and this may sound bad, but I'm just trying to figure out a way that, like my wife always says, even to my son, we just want you to make it home, and we can figure everything else out later. That if there could be something with what you wrap around, you throw over them, and I've even seen the thing where some kind of tarp or something, I forget, and maybe I just watched about a movie where you throw something over somebody, just something, when it's not someone shooting at you, but something they have a knife in their hand, then go deal with everybody, hey, family leave, so-and-so leave, let's deal with this, right? And so a lot of times when you're dealing with kids, you put on these little apparatus and you go in and come forward when you covered up with something. So maybe we need to just show up with something like that, but I don't know what's being communicated. And when that police officer is coming, what is he thinking? Or what has he been told? I know what you say on the phone, but what has he been told? What is he thinking? It's a man there trying to kill his family. I don't know. What has he been told? And he's coming to save that family, he's thinking, or as opposed to I gotta save this man from himself. I don't know. And that's where it gets kind of cloudy.
And it's crazy because, Bun, I know we had this talk a few weeks back about how police are handling escalated situations. Last night I was at choir rehearsal, and one of the choir members' husband used to be with the police force, and she was saying that, recall, Bunny, we was saying how come police don't maybe shoot someone in the leg or something except for shooting to kill. She was saying that police are being trained to shoot to kill because now you're hearing all these stories about, let's say if this person got shot and was paralyzed, so the family wants to sue the police for this man or woman being paralyzed for life. So, Bunny, they're being taught majority of the time to shoot to kill.
And that's a very good point. And unfortunately, people will do as they're trained. And just as I trained my son, the police are trained, everybody's trained to, I want to go home.
Yeah.
So the goal is that I stay alive. And so I just think that, and I mean this, everything is different if you approach someone as if they're your uncle. You can hear any story you want to hear. If you don't know the man, he's guilty. If he's your uncle, I'm not sure he did that, right? So it's just a difference of, so somehow we have to work on relationships. So when we get there, we do see that guy as our uncle, or we do see that guy as a guy in the community that we always see. What's going on today with him? That's unfortunate. So let's try to make it so he goes home alive and I go home alive. So it's just different ways to look at, I personally, I'm going to deal with whoever it is and just try to go around, you distracting, what have you, and try to handle it as best I can before I call the police, because you don't know what they're being told, and they're coming to survive also. And it's just a tough situation. Yeah. So on that note, I want to be sure I give all my people credit. We have, for my bond group, some of the names have been changed in my phone, but they know who they are. Tito, Panda, number 56, Marv, number 83, Fig, number 43, Flo, B-Man, Woody, Flash, number 3, and Joel. And I laugh at that because my wife tried to throw a surprise birthday party for me, right? So she got my phone, but she couldn't tell who was who by looking at the phone. Numbers.
Hey, Bunny, how you feel about hearing those nicknames? I know how big you are with men nicknames. Let's see, is she still with us? She may have dropped off.
Yeah, so that's my group. That's my group.
Let's make sure, Bunny, you still there? No, I think she had to drop off for a second.
Okay.
So we'll keep on continuing on with the conversation. Yeah, we've had previous guests in which they've had some interesting nicknames. And she be like, y'all need nicknames. So when she get back on, we definitely have to repeat some of those nicknames.
Well, my nickname, I got to be fair. In high school, I ended up getting the nickname Gump, Gumb, MP. And whenever I hear that, I could be out. One time I was out at the VP fair, and I just heard somebody yell out, "Gump!" And my kids, nobody knew. I turned like, I knew it was somebody from childhood, right? From high school. Like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, man, I hadn't heard that in years. So it's kind of funny when somebody say, "What's up, Gump?" Whatever. So it takes me back. So you never forget where you come from. That's it.
Yeah. Once again, this is the platform Sports Talk Show. I am your boy Smooth Bunny. She will be back very soon via Zoom. Shouts out to our third member, Stan. He's working right now, so he couldn't join us. Once again, we have our special guest,
Alvin Miller.
There we go. Wonderful conversation. To those who are watching for the first time, thank you very much. Share this stream with the peoples. Let them all tune in, whether they went to Notre Dame, Kirkwood, you saw them on the streets, whatever. Share right now. Give us a like, follow on all our social media platforms on the bottom of your screen. Definitely go on YouTube, subscribe, click on that bell, because we have nothing but great shows for y'all. Great content, great guests, the whole nine. So thank y'all for tuning in as we continue on with our special guests. So leading into your playing days, going to Kirkwood, who were some of your influences?
I was fortunate that my sister, who's no longer with us, Rosemary, was a teacher at Kirkwood High School. And my brother was also a teacher at the high school. And because of him being a former pro football player, and obviously my big brother, he was a big influence on me. And I would say that even though I was a humble young man, he reminded me of how humble you really needed to be and you should be. I remember after my first high school football game, I had made some predictions. I'm big on that. I don't tell everybody what I predict, but I make predictions. And those predictions all didn't come true. And so as I was being interviewed, he was walking by, and the high school reporter, he asked some questions about the game. And I said, and I'll never forget it. I said, well, actually, I was supposed to score 3 touchdowns, but I only scored 2. And he walked up to the reporter and he said, scratch that. And he said, Gump once again. He says, Gump, And so, and I woke up like, well, that's the truth. He said, So my first interview, my brother taught me how to interview. And I just thought that was neat looking back. At the time I thought, oh man, leave me alone. But it was so neat because he was so instrumental in me just trying to do it the right way. I didn't always agree with him, but he always had my best interests at heart. We played a big game, with Turkey Day game, but I was only a freshman. So Kirkwood didn't have a very good team that year. And I thought I could save the day, like any 15-year-old kid. I can save them, right? And my brother's mentality was, as I look back, was I'm not gonna put my brother out there to save this team, and he might get hurt. So it's almost like I want to save him for later. Well, I want to play now. So I didn't agree with that. So as I got older, I realized it made sense what he did. And then as I matured, there I was, a senior in high school. And one of the greatest conversations I feel like I ever had with any coach was with my brother. And he had all respect for me. I had all respect for him. And he said, I was running relays. And if I ran the first leg, we would lose the lead. If I ran the last leg, I was almost busting a gut trying to catch that guy. Because no matter how far I was behind, Alvin Miller wants to win. So my brother had a conversation saying, hey, I'm thinking about taking you off of the relays. What would you want to do? And so I named the events that I wanted to do. He said, well, the 110 high hurdles are right before the 100. So you would have to run the 110s, and the next event is the 100. He said, no one's ever done that before. And now I'm going to say that because it was just me and my brother. So publicly, I couldn't act like this. But my brother taught me not to. But I could say to him, well, no one else has been Alvin Miller. And he just shook his head like, boy, you just, And so the rest is history. He allowed me to do that. And it was kind of neat because I took it as I run the 110 high hurdles, take off my sweats, warm up, take off my sweats, run the 110 high hurdles. So by the time they clear the hurdles, the guys for the 100 were already stretching and getting ready. So by the time I got back down there, I didn't even have time to put my sweats back on, right? So I felt like I just ran a 110. So my philosophy, my mentality was, you know what? It's going to be a lot easier. The hurdles are gone. So here I come in the 100. And so it was kind of neat because I would run the 110s, and it might be maybe, it was rare the same guy. Most of the time it was not, right? So I beat one teammate in the 110 high hurdles, then I beat his other teammate in the 100. And so as the competition kept going, people kept thinking, well, he can't continue this because the competition is becoming, you go through districts and sectionals and state that the top hurdlers, the top sprinters, but eventually you can't keep beating them because you got to run a race and got to come back and race these guys who are fresh. That wasn't the case. I still was saying the hurdles are gone. So, I would say that Usain Bolt, a tall sprinter, which people think is rare, but they never gave a tall guy a chance. And I had a chance to do it, 6'4", coming out of the blocks for the 100-meter dash. And it was just awesome. I just loved it because it was so cool because I was already warmed up from doing the hurdles. So when I came back and did the 100, it was just, I was just ready to go. So, yeah, a lot of guys talked, it was in the paper. I didn't realize it. A lot of guys who I was commending and congratulating and wishing them well were throwing shade on me under the tunnel with the reporter. And the reporter kind of threw them under the bus because the reporter said exactly in the paper what they said. The Alvin Miller, he can't beat all of us. He can't keep winning these races. He's not going to beat. I'm going to get him in the 200. He'll be tired. And I don't know how they thought I would be tired. When I was 18, I didn't know how to spell tired. So it was a good day, but all because my brother believed in me more than any other coach has ever believed in me. And I thought that's awesome.
How big was it for you to, and this is the same question that we asked Ms. McWoods a while back, how important was it to play multiple sports?
It was very important. And the thing of it is that, once again, I didn't see this. It was true playing multiple sports, but to me, I want to compete. It was just still going. And I tell kids it's that same, the quicker you can get out of that same position. A golfer, it's kind of that squat position. The golfer's there, the football, they're there, basketball, you shoot from that position. So all the sports starts from that same position. And if you can get out of that position quicker than others, you have a better chance to be successful. But it's all with that base, that core, it all comes from that. So every sport, in a sense, is connected to each other because of that. So I just saw it as just still doing my thing. But I think it's very important. Now, let me say this. Some kids, it's just not for everybody. One example, Jason Tatum. I don't know if he ever did play football, but he got so tall. Sometimes it just don't make sense. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes it doesn't make sense for a kid to play three sports. And I say that because in my daughter for a while, well, she actually did play soccer and ran track and basketball, but in high school till her last year, she did basketball year round. But and people say that, but at the same time, when people say that, they're saying as kids to try different sports. But sometimes people way too early play one sport, and that's not good for the body. Because to me, you want to do different position, different things, what have you with your body. So you need to do more than one sport and try different things to figure out what you're gonna like. Right. So I was glad to find out what they really mean as a kid. Don't try just one sport. Too many kids, just basketball early on, and I think it's too early.
How helpful was track for you?
Track was very helpful. Track, man, ended up, being a receiver, man. Track was it for its positioning, getting low, speed, the whole deal. I think that track, first of all, every receiver in football should run track in high school. Whether you get a gold medal or not, you should run track. That's just case closed. Sometimes I think running track is more important than playing spring ball, playing spring football. Because sometimes, especially once you've been there for a while, not just a matter of working on your speed and conditioning and maybe healing up from getting hit. So I think spring football should be passed by some receivers and let them go run track just to stay in better shape.
So as we stick with the track thing for a little minute, as you brought up some accolades earlier, one, how did it feel when you realized that you were a state champion or about to be a state champion for the first time?
It was awesome. It was awesome. And like I said, that day, I woke up feeling good. I just knew it was going to be something. I had a saying that was within my family, and the saying was, it was grammar wise, it was incorrect, but the saying was, they don't want none. And it just basically, if I get the blocks, they don't want none.
That's it.
And obviously I couldn't say it publicly because I didn't want to be sound like I wasn't being humble. But now that I'm 56,
Oh yeah.
I said it. They don't want none. And my theme song was going up in the team van. We only had 2 runners. We had more coaches than runners at state.
Wow.
So when we got there, my brother kept feel like, hey, whatever Alvin needs to do, let him do it, right? So going up, what was my theme song playing? Beat It. That was it.
Oh, okay.
That was it. And it was a little poem just basically saying that part of it was a matter of me saying that with the song Beat It playing in the background, the song was playing, and the words were something to the effect of, we have come here to get the job done. I am the sun, and you don't want none. So that's just what we kind of get us motivated and get us going. So
That's cute.
it all worked out well, and it was neat because I would say that the 110s, the 100, and then by the time I did the 300-meter hurdles, they began to talk about Kirkwood could possibly win state. And we're like, whoa, because I'll be honest, we saw teams with so many runners. You're thinking, man. But what we didn't realize was Vashon to win had to get first in the 100 and 200. Well, Kirkwood did that. So Rittner had to get first in the hurdles and something else. But at the same time, we were eliminating their getting 10s. So with that being said, they had more runners, but we were getting more points. And then there was a group, a team out of Kansas City that had 3 great pole vaulters. But because they were great, but it was 3, they could only get first, second, and third. So they ended up getting second in state that year. So what I'm getting at is that by the time I ran that 3rd race, it began to be the buzz. And that's when, I'm not going to say pressure, but it was just a little pressure, just like, oh man, if we got it, And then I'm even going to say like, well, what place do I need to get? And then my brother looked at me like, and I said, I know, I got it. And the rest is history. I remember jumping up because I wore, I'd already signed with Notre Dame at that time. So I wore red socks on Friday, but I wore green socks on Saturday for the championship. I had my green Notre Dame socks. And it happened. We did it, and it was an awesome feeling. It rains. We ran around the track with the trophy in the rain. So it was a great feeling. It was a great feeling.
And now, as Miss McWoods brought up earlier, you have your own track field.
I do.
How does that feel?
Alvin Miller track. That is,
Wow.
that's a feeling. I feel honored, and I'm going to back up and say something that I've never, even before this was coming about, and I never said this publicly, but follow me on this one. When you look at things in America, they're named after people way back when. And people of color, first of all, we weren't allowed to do a whole lot of things, right? So you couldn't really do anything to even be honored for something. So with that being said, I look at guys who could have had things named after them, but they just weren't naming a lot of things after black men. And so when they surprised me the night before a Turkey Day game and named the track in my honor, I was really touched by that, because I knew of so many men who had done great things and who had played a part in my life, who'd been a part of my village, who never had things named after them, who were better men than me or just as good as men, good of men as I am, whatever. And I just felt just totally touched. It's Alvin Miller track, but there are so many other names that could be in those lanes along with me because of what they've done. And I was just really honored. And I say that because I don't want to name after me. No, that's great because it represents more than just me. Now it's tough when somebody runs a stop sign, almost hits you. You can't, have any road rage because you got a track named after you. Right. So it's kind of tough when you're still young and alive, with something named after you. Right. You kind of walk around. It's pressure. You tell somebody, look at somebody like, you better be glad I got that track named after me. But it's totally an honor. it really is. It really is. I'm not at yeah, I was totally touched. Totally
So,
touched.
as someone who has his own track and field named after him, do you have to knock to get in, or do you have your own keys?
Well, I think publicly I can't answer that, but yeah, I couldn't publicly say I had a key.
I've been saying, if I have something after me, I better never after, hey, it's me, my name on the door.
Right. One time, now a long time ago, everybody around there knew me. A few do still, don't get me wrong. But before my wife came along, I could walk through, everybody knew me, whatever, what have you. And so now, if I gotten older, the ushers and people have changed. And it's funny, my kids laugh about it because sometimes I go, man, my wife gets me into the games, right? And so one time she was busy, and I could talk, but she was busy. And the guy's like, well, and I said, well, I can pay. I said, hold on. So I showed him my license, and I pointed. I said, that's my track, man. I'm going in. So it's neat though. It's a neat feeling. I was totally. My wife worked with some friends in conjunction, and just totally surprised me on that one.
How much of an influence was she at the time being your girlfriend as an influencer while you were doing your thing in high school?
Oh, I'm sorry. Check this out. When I met my wife, she was a teacher at the school. So we didn't date in high school. She's from Memphis.
Okay, gotcha.
But I got to tell you something funny, though.
Uh-oh.
The kids always, even when you tell the story, kids say to my wife, some of the students, probably the ones that don't have the better grades, they go, Mrs. Miller, did you teach Mr. Miller? She's like, no, I didn't teach him. So it's, yeah, kids don't put two and two together that well.
Go.
They're trying to insinuate something. Boy, I tell you.
Gotta love it. So, how would you? Because we've had previous guests who have made it to the pros, like it's we'll get to that. Who made it to the pros? Who've done big things. How was the recruitment process for you before choosing Notre Dame?
Man, that's about 3 chapters in my book that I have to finish. It was unbelievable. It's easier to say which schools did not recruit me than to say which ones did. I mean, it was just from all over. It was neat because my friends, I wasn't as familiar with college football as some of my friends, and they would just freak out and say which coaches were in the stands on Friday night. And then later I realized that a lot of coaches came Friday night and left in private planes Friday night to get back for their games on Saturday. So you could kind of see who's who of college football in the stands when I was playing. It came down to I visited, or my final 4 or 5, Illinois, Mizzou, Notre Dame, Iowa, and UCLA, ironically, where my daughter ended up going. Man, that was too far. So I ended up picking Notre Dame because of the guys who are right here in my phone. Guys like that. The only one that was there already was a guy named Michael Haywood and his roommate, Milt Jackson, who was even more instrumental in getting me there, because just spending time with those guys at Notre Dame, they were talking about academics and tests, and kind of scared me because it was something like, whoa, man, but it's like, that's what I want. I want to be able to have an education. I don't want to just come back. I tell people my goal, my dream was to become a professional football player, but my goal was to get an education. So if my dream didn't come true, I want to at least reach my goal. And so that happened. So the recruiting was just crazy. I'll tell you one guy I loved, Hayden Fryer. He was awesome. Lou Holtz was down at Arkansas before I ended up meeting him up here at Notre Dame my last year. Coach Files was a great recruiter. It was a tough time coming from high school to college and coaching. Just couldn't make that transition, but he was a great guy. Also, Barry Switzer was the first coach I met with. Monday morning at 7:00, I met with Barry Switzer. And he left the school and went to my house, and I love him for this. My dad was from Oklahoma. He spent 3 hours with my dad. My dad loved the Sooners, and I almost went to play with Switzer, but he didn't pass the ball at all, so I couldn't deal with that wishbone. So I passed on that. But it was just so neat to meet the different coaches and different colleges and opportunities, and it was just awesome. I mean, it was just a great time. I look back and think, man, it was It got to be hectic at a time because then you had to tell people no, and that's when it got tough. I had a few times my high school basketball coach, Coach Meyer, I went over and spent some nights at his house to get away from. I mean, coaches were parking outside my house. It got to be crazy. I spent some time over. Got him, Coach Curry. He's no longer with us. Spent the night with his son at their home because it was just. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was fun. Then it got to be hectic. But then when I picked Notre Dame, obviously things kind of died down, and I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. My choice to pick Notre Dame, all because of these guys right here. I mean, we have such we call it a bond, brothers of Notre Dame. It's a bond. It's real, and people go, well, they go, what's your mission? To look after one another. That's it. We're not trying to save the world. We can do it individually. We support you, but as a group, we just look out for one another and their families. And we're there. One of our brothers just lost his mom, so we're supporting him. We reach out to our friend who passed, his widow, and his son is like, I'm the guy to contact with her. Everybody has their own duties and things they're supposed to do. I want to commend my good friend Byron Spurrell, who is more or less the Spike Lee of the NBA bubble. And people don't know that. They say the NBA, they got a commissioner, but he's the president of operations, I believe, for the NBA. And the bubble was the bubble because he did what he was supposed to do. Nice. Probably one of the, no matter how many people in the room, he's the smartest man in the room.
Nice. So, going through high school before we go back to college again, are you glad social media wasn't around when you was in high school?
I'm not gonna say I'm not glad because we didn't really do a lot of crazy things. But what I am glad about is that we had things to say, and we're like some of these kids now. We could fire back and forth, and I really think if social media was around then, I can just imagine the week before playing University of Miami, what they might be saying on social media, what we would fire back on social media. Right. I'm thinking it would have been just interesting because those guys, they had a lot of characters on the team. And at Notre Dame, obviously you're a Notre Dame man, act like it. But University of Miami, man, it was really hard to be a Notre Dame man when you played against Miami. Because Miami, I mean, they said some things that even now I'm gonna tell you one of the coolest players I ever, not cool as far as being cool, but how can I put it? One of the most calm and stress-free players I ever played with was Tim Brown.
Oh, nice.
And I mean, Tim Brown, you can look at him and couldn't really tell what was happening. You could look at him at halftime and you could be up 20 or down 20 and you couldn't tell by looking at Tim Brown, right? He was just that steady guy. But University of Miami, they made everybody kind of wake up a little bit and get frustrated, get mad. They would try to wake you up a little bit. So only because of the fact that we're supposed to act a certain way, we're a certain type of guy. But when you play University of Miami, man, they said some things you just hadn't heard before. But it was all good. It was all good. So they try to get under your skin.
Who was a athlete that you watched a lot during your time in high school and then going to college?
When I was, and I'm not going to think real quick to figure out what was the gap, but for whatever reason, I really watched and enjoyed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I can't even tell you why, because if you think about it back then, the NBA was barely on TV. But as somehow, I think my sister started watching him in the Big O with the Milwaukee Bucks, and therefore I became a fan and just watching him getting it done, and just for a long time. So that was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then being a wide receiver, man, I love Drew Pearson. And Drew, there was no one, right? Cowboys. Yep. It was no one more upset than Drew Pearson was upset. I was just as upset for him not getting to the Hall of Fame at that time. And actually, for my wife gave me a Drew Pearson autographed Drew Pearson jersey that I have. So it's just those guys. What's neat as I look back is obviously you as a kid you pick a guy because of what he does on the court or on the field. But it's neat to look back and go, wow, they were also awesome men. but that's not why I picked them. Or maybe I played a part, but for the most part, social media, that wasn't around. You know what kind of man they were. But to find out and to see what all Kareem did to help change social justice, just help change the world. Even though the world wasn't listening, he kept talking. And it's really neat because hopefully I can get a message to him to go watch. His jersey is retired, obviously, at UCLA, but my daughter wears 33. And she's involved in just some social justice things at UCLA and just trying to make things better and get things right the way they should be. And it's really neat because it's so awesome because sometimes a kid can be selfish and worry about themselves. And I want to say it's unfortunate that due to the time, just what was going on, that those of us who were in college years ago, that we didn't do a little bit more that would have made it easier for them today. So I want to commend them, but we're also supporting them that they're getting the job done and letting people know that it's a right way to do things, it's a right way to say things, and it's just a right way to be treated. And everybody has to be treated the same. And I think it's neat in what they're doing.
Nice. Bunny, now that you are back, you missed earlier.
Did she miss my names?
Yes, you missed earlier.
I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I know how big you are in regards to nicknames that men are given. So he's gonna list off some names from the BOND, Brothers of Notre Dame, real quick. And
Okay, let me hear these names.
Okay, they're on my phone. We have Tito, Panda, 56, Banks, Marv, 83, Reggie, got Fig, 43, Rod, Flo, B-Man, Woody, Flash, AJ, and Joel.
Okay. That's a few of you all, more than I would have realized, because I figured it's like a handful of blacks on the team back then. So
You're right, not many. That, and a matter of fact, that was the beginning of having more. My class was at that time, the most blacks that were in a class coming into Notre Dame. Yeah, so that's what, yeah.
Yeah, I still have that brotherhood to this day. That's what's up.
We do.
Glad
We
I
do.
did that.
I hear the little one in the background. What you doing over there?
Well, I'm sorry I didn't want to be rude. That's why I turned the camera off. But this is not playing, you all. I'm having coughing attacks here, and I'm having her in my hand as well. So
Hey.
I'm balancing two things: coughing and dealing with her. But
Life goes
say
on.
hi.
Yeah, it's all good.
Trying to make YouTube famous a little early, sweetie.
Right. She is officially famous. She's gonna have her own YouTube page.
She
in
looks
the
like a
next
point
2
guard.
hours.
She looks like a point guard.
Does she? Okay. All right. Well, hey, stop. See, you already messing up. Did I lose the ball? I'm
She's
sorry.
not shy. That's a
Basketball's my
point
favorite
guard.
sport, so I'm gonna be a non-traditional mom because basketball's my favorite sport. So we're gonna watch basketball games together, and we're gonna watch track and field meets when they come on TV. We're gonna watch some pigskin, and we're gonna watch some baseball and anything else you want to try. On top of non-sports, of course, dancing, ballet.
No, I was at the St. Louis Zoo one day, my wife and I with the kids, and they noticed how tall the girls were, and it was neat because there was a young father, with his little girl. She was still in a stroller, and he asked me. He said, "How tall are your girls?" So I told him. He said, "Do they play basketball?" I said, "They do," and he said, "How soon did you get them involved in basketball?" I said, "Well, that's a trick question." I said, "They actually joined a team in 4th grade and 1st grade." I said, "But I got them involved before they even knew it." He said, "What did you do?" I said, "First of all," and I looked down, his little girl had a doll in her hand, which is great. But I said to him, I said, when mine were that size and they came to the zoo, they had a ball in their hand. He looked like he should. I said, "Yeah, you gotta get their man early." And I would, and the one thing I would tell people that my girls they didn't travel a whole lot in basketball. And the reason why is because before I took them to a team, we would bounce the ball in my basement. And when they stopped dribbling, I would make them throw the ball to a chair or to the sofa. Because the biggest mistake little kids make is they dribble, they stop, they dribble again. So I said, once you stop dribbling, you got to pass it to a friend. So I was going to have friends in the basement at that time. So they had to throw it to the sofa. Just that mentality. They didn't know what they were doing. They thought we were playing a game, but I was getting them ready for basketball.
Right.
So that's it. And Lala doesn't know it, but the first time Lala played basketball, she was in 1st grade. and first graders played on a different basket, but because she played on a fourth grade team, it was a 10-foot basket. So I didn't want her to get into a bad habit of trying to fling a ball up and developing a bad shot. So actually, I would find out who on the other team was their best scorer, and I would tell her, find out what kind of gum they chewing. So she would get right up on them, and she would be there, and she would defend them. And next thing you know, we really won the game, not because of her scoring, but because she would stop the other team from scoring.
Right.
And what's crazy is she's a heck of a defender now. She doesn't lead the team in scoring, but she leads the team in what she does. And it's really neat because I tell people there's so many ways to win. You just got to find out what's the best way for you to do it.
That reminds me of like watching The Last Dance and how Jordan said that he found little small things to motivate.
To motivate, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's deep. So now you was a man. Well, first off, how did it feel being labeled as the greatest athlete out of Kirkwood?
I'm honored because when you say that, there's so many guys who have who in the Kirkwood Hall of Fame. I can't name them all. You got some guys from way back when, some guys who are recently put in, Jeremy Macklin,
Right.
My brother Arthur Miller, Chester Jackson, Roger Shurik, Drew Rogers, a lot of great basketball players, football players, and track guys. So I'm just totally honored when the ones who was awesome themselves say that I'm the best athlete to come out of Kirkwood, because it's not it's a lot of great talent that came out of me. Someone even said to me, Alvin, you're not the best football player to come out of Kirkwood. I said, that's no problem. Who is? And they mentioned Bobby Cannon. And I smiled because Bobby Cannon was one who was always talking to me and motivating me, but he never told me his story of how he played football. But he played football back when the kids from Kirkwood couldn't go to Kirkwood High School at first. They had to go to Douglas, the all-black high school in Webster. So when he was at the games, I'm just thinking like, wow, looking back. But at the time, he was just telling me what to do, how to do it, what have you. But he never told me his stories. But my sister told me. So when a guy said that to me about he thought Bobby Cannon was better than me, that was okay, because Bobby Cannon's mom and my mom, they sung in the church choir together. So he was like family. So it's like, well, that's good. I wish I could have seen that. Because I'll be honest, if anybody was a better football player than me, man, that was something to see.
Nice. So you brought up earlier.
You're not bragging on yourself, but you know how your stats.
Well, my thing is this: when Jesus said what he was going to do when he did it, was he bragging, or was he just speaking the truth? There's a difference.
He just saying facts, all facts.
All facts.
All facts. Okay?
Bunny,
Don't lie.
see, Bunny.
Hey, buddy, it's
There
really,
goes the preacher man right there.
it's also called when you're 56. Let it rip. Let it rip.
So, Notre Dame always been known as tradition.
Right.
Like you hear Notre Dame, you hear tradition.
Tradition.
Tell us about your time there, your experiences, and I gotta know, have you ever met Rudy? Did that happen before, after you was there? Tell us about Notre Dame.
Well, first, let me say this, and I'm going to tell you about Notre Dame. Why didn't you say, has Rudy ever met me?
There you go.
Because I play more than 30 seconds.
All right now.
But
then he gonna say, I have my own movie though.
I have my own track.
Right, there you go. There you go.
Okay.
No, I can't. I've never met Rudy. Rudy's never met me.
Okay.
But with that being said, I met Eric Porsegian. I played for Lou Holtz. I've met Alan Page. I played with quite a few legends at Notre Dame. Matter of fact, yesterday, my old quarterback called me, Steve Berline.
Oh, yeah.
We knew I had death when my mother-in-law passed, what I thought was neat. But at Notre Dame, there's so much tradition. And some people say that's hokey, whatever. But I'm going to tell you where it all starts. You get there, and by the time you get ready, that first pep rally, you're like, okay, I feel it. They're talking about not even so much talking about Newt Rockne, the past, but what you feeling and dealing with right there in the present at that time, right? And then all of a sudden you got all these guys who come from great football programs from around the country. Notre Dame is just not about Indiana. It's about all of America coming together at South Bend, Indiana, Notre Dame campus, getting ready for a game. And man, when you walk onto that stadium and you look around and people are just getting you pumped up and getting you ready, and then it happens. You walk out of the tunnel, going onto the field. And to this day, when that fight song is played, man, I'm ready to go. I mean, we were up there and we got, we were supposed to be down the field for some of the former players are going to be on the field before the game. We got there just a little bit too late, but everything happens for a reason. We got there a little too late, which means the band had already started going to the field. So we had to walk behind the band. Oh, there's no feeling in being behind the Notre Dame band playing that fight song. It was just neat. That's one of the big traditions. We had mass before the game, but everything that we do, everything that we did, and not to take away from the event or what it was or what was going on, but what made it special was the guys I was going through it with. I mean, there's nothing like that. I mean, you talk about we've all, many of us have had knee surgeries, shoulder surgeries. I mean, we lost big to Alabama. We lost big to Miami. But one thing those losses couldn't do would break us apart. I mean, no matter what we went through it together, and we stayed together as we went through it. And it's just amazing all the trials and tribulations and things that we had to just deal with as young men. But we're able to overcome all of that because we did it together. And then everybody, there was no, hey, we graduated. Everybody in this right here, we graduated. We just didn't go to Notre Dame. We graduated from Notre Dame. We put the time in, did what we supposed to do, dedicated. And a part of us didn't want to let the other guy down. And that was just it. I remember looking back and, oh man, we had a few games, we just got whooped. And you just look over and we looked at each other like, hey, keep your head up. We lost the game. We didn't lose each other. And I just think it's so neat because I don't want to take anything away from teams that win championships because we all go to win championships. Right. And then when it's over, you realize, you know what? Out of all these teams, only one is going to be called the champion every year. And it's great. They got a ring, they hold it up, and what have you. But it's nothing. And don't get me wrong, we all want to do it. There is nothing like a championship, but there is nothing like a friendship. And that's what I walked away with. Went there to get a championship, came away with some awesome friendships. And I think that's just neat. And I will never go back to Notre Dame campus unless one of these guys are going to be there. Because Notre Dame, awesome building, Touchdown Jesus, Number One Moses, the Grotto, Newt Rockne Stadium. You can talk about the different dorms, but Notre Dame is not Notre Dame if one of these guys is not back on campus with me.
And how many people can fit in that stadium?
I think now it's 85 because they've gone up. When I was there, it was like 65,000, and it was a fight for tickets. 85,000, still a fight for tickets. So it's really interesting. But they got about 85. They put another ring around the top, so it's 85,000 people. Not quite 105 like the big house in Michigan, right? But 85,000.
And what years were you at Notre Dame again?
83 to 87.
Okay. Okay, so you were there right before, or right? No, you left right before they did the famous Catholics versus convicts.
Right.
Was that
right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna ask you.
I never even knew about that till I watched the 30 for 30 on that last year.
Well, the 30 for 30, and I watched a little bit of that because it was interesting how University of Miami, I guess when they did I think did they have their own 30 for 30 or was it that 30 for 30?
It was that one.
It was that one.
No.
They had their own.
No, they had their own, the U, and then they had the
because in their own, they kept talking about us.
Right,
it's like, guys, we're not going to talk about you. But I didn't, the young man who, to each their own, the guy who came up with that, I was not in favor. I never wore the shirt because I felt like even though I University of Miami was my enemy, if you will. I wanted to go beat them as much as they want to beat me. I didn't like referring to them as convicts because I feel that student athletes go through enough as it is without being called and referred to convicts. But that became a popular statement. One guy made a T-shirt, and there it is. So I'm not, I don't like I said, to each their own, but I don't promote that with the athletes versus Catholics versus convicts. I know people say cute, humorous, but I just don't. I didn't like that.
Nice. So you said that you had an unfortunate injury while playing football, correct?
I did. I was at my sophomore year, first play of the game. I was coming around the end. They faked it to the tailback going left, reversed to me, running right in, and it was man. I tell you what, the only person between me and the goal line, it wasn't even a person. It was like just me and God. But when I forgot that I had to run on turf before I could go with God. So that turf just got me. My foot twisted in the turf. I never watched the play. I didn't need to see the play. And I tore my ACL. And I was never the same after that. At that time, they got different things. They were better with surgery, but still not quite there. And I had surgery. But then when I came back, did my knee again against Alabama my senior year. And so that was it. Still brought it back. I had a couple of comebacks, like my daughter had a couple of comebacks after injuries, and I got a tryout with the Buffalo Bills. But the worst thing was, like I said, the knee injury started with against Michigan State at Michigan. It was the first play of the game, and unfortunately, my mom, by the time they turned the radio on, the first play was over, and so they couldn't hear, like, where's Alvin? I haven't heard anything, Alvin. So not till halftime the announcers mentioned something about me. And so next thing you know, my mom was in South Bend, Indiana, and I had surgery. So it's one of those things.
So with you having an abrupt ending, I know that you have so many accolades, having your own track and field, being labeled as the greatest athlete here and there. Do you feel that as an athlete
Move, we
overall?
can't hear you. Can you speak up?
Oh, sorry about that.
Close
Do
to the
you
mic.
feel that
There you go.
overall that you feel your overall career as an athlete was incomplete because of that injury?
No, because as long as I can talk about it, I can tell people. And I'm going to tell you something else, too. I've been blessed to have great people in my life. And I say that because, as she joked me about, now, is that bragging? I'm here tonight talking. But, man, when I'm standing around, I have some great people who say great things almost better than I can, to let people know that, now, this is Alvin Miller. And don't think that, he didn't make it because he wasn't good enough. He had more than enough talent. His knee, he hurt his knee, and that's why these things didn't happen. And so I look at it as I was able to get a free education from one of the most awesome universities in America, all because I could play football.
Right.
So it's only 2%, I believe, that go on to play football, and you only play five years or so. And as I look at this list of my friends here, I would say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 8 out of 14 had contracts, and maybe 5 ended up having or more, whatever, had football careers. 5 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then Tim Brown didn't know when to go home. He had 17 years, and the coach said, "Man, I'm getting old coming to the game. You got to be getting old playing the game." Right. So then that was it. It was ironic because his last year, he switched and went with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they played a Monday Night Football game here in St. Louis, and I picked up Tim from the hotel, and I took him to, my wife was put on the board of a charter school, and he went and spoke to the school before his Monday Night Football game. That's the kind of man, that's how we roll. Nice. That's just how we roll and do things. So it's, I tell people that, if you're not, NFL stands for not for long. So that's but I did enjoy my stint, say a cup of coffee with the Buffalo Bills, and I became had a great time talking with Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, um, and Jim Kelly, and all of them became Hall of Famers. And I didn't get a chance to go to Super Bowl with them, but I was there as it was all about to start kicking off. And crazy it may sound, one reason why I got a chance with the Buffalo Bills, I went up, had a tryout, and then they twist your knee to see if you can take it. And then they said, Alvin, the Denver Broncos, they want you to fly out. And I'm like, if they gonna do what Buffalo did, no, I'm like, no one pulls on my knee like that when I'm playing football. So I shoot up. So I said, I'm good. I'm not, And so fortunately for me, the Buffalo Bills said, boom, we'll take him as a free agent. And the coach with the Buffalo Bills was Marv Levy, who long time ago was a history teacher and a football coach at Country Day. And he had that St. Louis connection. And so it was a guy with in South Bend with a construction company, used to be a coach. He called Marv Levy. He said, it's a kid from St. Louis. And the conversation went on, and I got a chance to play for the Buffalo Bills because of Marv Levy and our little connection with St. Louis.
Nice. Once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. Hope y'all have been enjoying this wonderful interview. For those who are watching for the first time and you on Facebook, and if you have been leaving comments under our guest Alvin Miller's page, we cannot see. Y'all probably like, man, I'm leaving comments and that's not showing on TV. You have to be under our page, and it's on the screen, and leave those same comments, questions, stories, etc., so we can see it and interact with each and every one of y'all. So, Notre Dame, we know now, doesn't have an actual conference. Was that the same way it was back when you played?
Right. We were independent. And I tell you what, that was tough because we played the top teams from different conferences. I mean, you played USC, that was a big game. Played LSU, played Penn State, who was independent at that time. Played South Carolina, played University of Miami, played Michigan State, played a few Big Ten teams, but see, they were the top Big Ten teams. And and then people say, well, Alvin, you guys played Air Force and Navy and Army sometimes. And I go, have you ever played Navy and Army and Air Force? I'm going to tell you something, man. Those military schools, their football teams are no joke. You better go buckled up and ready to play ball because they're coming at you. They're not, you may be bigger than them, but their hearts are real big.
Exactly.
And they're bringing it. You had to stay awake. Now, even if we won, you couldn't take anything for granted playing them.
Hey, I respect you for what you brought to the game.
Right. And so with that being said, the schedule was tough. And everybody's bowl game before bowl game was Notre Dame. I mean, you're thinking like, Coach, really? This is a big game, Coach? You told us that last week. And then you realize because it was such a big game to who we were playing against, it was a big game. And so, and these weren't even no easy teams. So even when we were 7-4, 6-5, we still played top teams. So it was just, and I'll be honest, Notre Dame does not play that type of schedule now because you just can't. I'm gonna be honest, you can't. You got to warm up and ease into it. Right. I mean, we open up with Lou Holtz with Michigan. We open with Penn State. I mean, it's like, geez, you can't.
The USCs and all that.
Right. Yeah. Here we go. So I look, and I wouldn't change that for anything in the world, man. I mean, it was awesome, man. It was showtime. I mean, it was showtime. When you get there, buckle, ready to play ball, and then when you get them, I mean, we blew Penn State up at Notre Dame. The next year, they blew us up at Penn State. Like, how that happened? I mean, right. In 1 year, you're not 30 points. We beat you last. That's how it was. That's just how it was, man. I mean, it was just some crazy games. Even like I say, Purdue, LSU, Boston College. I just think about who all we played. It was just tough. It was just tough. We had one thing that I could say. We were deep. We were deep. I mean, we had guys. There was a guy Alan Pinkett, I think, was fifth or sixth, something, in the Heisman Trophy voting. And Alan Pinkett was the leading rusher at Notre Dame when I was there. We did a lot of running, didn't pass as much as I thought we would have, but we just didn't. But there was a running back named Alonzo Jefferson who was my classmate coming in. He came in as a receiver at first, and he learned that, did good, but he should have come in as a running back. But because they had such great running backs, they thought he'd get more time playing receiver. But I just feel like, since I'm 56, got to tell the truth, he might have put some guys out of their jobs. Oh, man, he could scoot. I mean, he could cut in the down. Where'd he go? Scoot here. And the crazy thing, man, he might have been 5'7". He might have been 5'7".
Wow.
But, man, he could scoot and go and cut and go. And unfortunately, against University of Michigan, I think it was AJ's junior year, I believe, he did his knee. He had a knee injury. As we all go back and tell the story, the ball was coming down for the ball. Somebody missed their block, and the guy came in, not just for the ball, but got Alonzo's knee, and he was just never the same. But man, he could cut on the dime and give 9 cents change. I mean, he was just a talent. I mean, he was, when they had little scrimmages and all that, you would stick around just to watch him scrimmage. And the odd thing is that, man, if he can do this against Notre Dame's defense, he should be playing against Michigan. But it's just those stories like that I think, the first guy there, they didn't really give other guys a chance at time. That's one that just got, that would have been a Notre Dame legend that people don't even realize how great a player he was. I mean, it was just a lot of talent.
What are your thoughts on the program now, football?
The one thing I have, and people are not going to want to hear this, is that I want people to stop thinking that, if Notre Dame don't win a championship, it's a lost season, right? As soon as they lose one game, everybody go, oh my God. And I say, hey, if Notre Dame goes, they play 12 games now. If they go 8-4, it's okay. If they go 9-3, it's okay. Go to a nice bowl game, everything's going, stadium is full, because it's just hard to compete now. Because at the same time, with Notre Dame, first, you're limited in the players you can get because of your requirements. So now, not the end of the world, but now you have 100 kids. You can only go after, we'll say, 75. But out of those 75, some may not want to come to Notre Dame because now you have other schools. At one time, it was big. Notre Dame was on TV and different things. I just think other schools are really catching up. At the same time, they've had time to get tradition. Notre Dame hasn't won a championship since '88. So it's just a matter of it's not a loss when you don't go undefeated or 11-1, 10-2, right? You want that, but at the same time, you got to be realistic. Other programs are really getting kids attention,
right?
And when it comes to recruiting, and there's just some different things that a kid might like. And I'm going to say this: today's kid, when you talk about tradition, kids aren't big on tradition like they used to be.
Right.
I'm just being honest. They're just not just different kids. So with that being said, you can't tell me what somebody did there yesterday. You got to talk about me.
Right.
And that's just one of those things. Is that like even
like
now,
a recruiter now.
right? Like even now, Notre Dame is number 4, but they had such a so-so game against who did they play? But they were 12. Score was 12-7. So with that being said, well, they're really number 4. So it's a matter of, and it's put pressure. The minute you put Notre Dame high in the rankings, that team is going to come for them and make it even harder for them. So I just think it's the program's doing great, but some people would say it's not because they're looking for that undefeated season.
Right.
And right now, your Alabamas or LSU's, that's what's at the top of the list. But now Notre Dame would be better off just winning wise by being in the ACC like they are this year. But I would hate to see that take with that tradition of playing all those teams around America as opposed to playing in the ACC.
So you were awarded the Monogram Award. Please explain for those.
As a Monogram winner, it's about the time you put in It's like getting a varsity letter at Notre Dame. And what's neat is Monogram winner, you become a member of the Monogram Club. And when you go back, it's one of the free things you get for the rest of your life. You have a Monogram lunch during football weekend. And it's really neat because when you get there, oh man, it's like going back down memory lane. And you see guys you played with, and now you've become friends with guys who played before you. But since you've been at the Monogram Club lunch, you've got to know them over the years, and you start sharing stories with them. And it's kind of neat because we come back, and now we've because of the Monogram Club lunches, we've all gained a little bit of weight, but we always have fun talking to each other. And somebody goes one time something about playing in the Alumni touch football game, and I said, I'm going to tell you something. In honor of Alvin Miller, 1983 Notre Dame, I am not going to put on the number 17 ever again because I was a little bit slimmer in 1983. So I said, I'm not playing like they say, but Alvin, put on a lineman number. I said, I would never wear a lineman number. So we have fun going back and forth. And so, but it's a good time though. But it's like I say, it's an honor because that's something I am is with Alan Page and all the other guys who played back when. And the one thing we have in common is we're all Monogram Club winners.
Nice. So, Guy Torrey last week, we was talking about a certain topic, and it got really serious, like just that quick. We talked about police, and I see that you are big in regards to the community and also being an activist. So, it was kind of like he didn't want to like rant, but it just kind of came out natural because of what's going on now
right.
with society and all the injustices. So and everything going on, the Breonna Taylor's situation, everything. So, what does it mean to you to be an activist and being a part of the community right now?
I think the key is communication. The key is experiences. And I say that because I can see something that happens, and I start to think is that who do you have relationships with? Because sometimes you're going to have, I can say things and do things, and my daughters might say, Dad, what about A, B, and C? I go, I never thought about that. I said, you're right. So what I said was wrong. Based on that, I didn't think about that. So sometimes we're saying things that are wrong and don't even realize they're wrong because you don't say them to people who will tell you that's wrong. So I say that to say that if we can somehow get the police in the community, and I mean in the community, involved with the community. I know St. Louis does a thing with PAL where the police officers are coaching the kids, and that's something that's great. I think too often that we've got to the point of just like we don't know our neighbors, we don't know our police officers. I mean, and that's a true statement. We don't know our police officers. There was a time that I could come through that, I mean, it was no doubt that we knew who they were. I was there. Police officer Vicky, don't know her last name. She was stopped. What did she do? She watched us play corkball. She go buy some Pepsi, come back. We fight over but we knew her, right? You come through and leave, she come through and go, hey, Smooth went that way. We cool with Vicky. We gonna snitch. Hey, Vicky, Smooth went that way. But it's just a matter of we knew each other because of our experiences with the police officers. Police officer gave us tickets to go skating. We brought 20 cans to them. They gave us tickets to go skating. And now he's sitting there seeing these kids come through. He sees us. He knows us. It's somehow we have to come together and get together before something happens. And I think a lot of times we have these perceptions of one another. We have the perception of the police. Police have the perception of certain people. And if you never talk and realize those perceptions are wrong, then it all comes to a head. I'm going to give you one example, which is unfortunate. I was driving, my daughter's car wouldn't start, and I had to take her to work. So jumped in, took her to work. 7 o'clock, coming from, she was student teaching in Ladue District. So 7:30 in the morning, what have you, I'm driving from Ladue School back to Kirkwood. I get pulled over, and I'm big on, now let me first say this, there's no ticket that I can't pay. That's not a problem. But I just want to be sure, why are you pulling me over?
Right.
And if you're pulling me over, tell me now what it is. Give me the ticket so I can go home and get dressed so I can go to work. So we're still going through it. And I said some things that I told my son not to say. But I felt like I'm 55 years old, so I'm not 25 years old. So, I'm right. And I just kept saying, why did you pull me over? Because I'm driving slow, because I want to be sure not to get anyone's attention. Why did you pull me over? Make a long story short, there was no ticket given because I wasn't doing anything to get a ticket. I just want to know, why did I get, why am I pulled over? There was no answer ever given. Make a long story, so I ended up just said, sir, just go home. Have a nice day. And my whole thought is that it's unfortunate because I try to live a Christian life, and every now and then you let people know that it's hard to be a Christian, right? And then I'm an older gentleman, educated, so I still knew how to deal with him professionally, but still ask that question. Whereas if it had been a 23, 24-year-old young man, say he's kind of always has some things, attitude, and it would have been unfortunate that it escalates, but he's the bad guy because he did A, B, and C, right? But at the same time, why'd you pull him over? And so then it happens that where he did something that makes you want to arrest him now, but if you hadn't put him over, he would have done that. So it just bothers me. It's like, man, it's got to wait till some crime happens. I mean, why did you pull me over?
Right.
And you can't say that. I would love for you to say, you looked funny. You looked, or you drove through the stoplight. So, see, my whole thing is that when you come to the car, this is just me. Sir, you ran that red light. Sir, you ran that stop sign. Sir, you ran that. Sir, you ran that. Can I see your license? Okay, yeah, but why you pull me over? Because running my license, you wasting your time. You go find some real crime. So that really bothered me, and that has to end. And I say these things because I had a great conversation with my former Notre Dame teammates who had no clue these things were happening. My son came home. He was a little upset. And I'm like, well, what's the matter? So I don't care that you got pulled over. I don't care you were going 10 miles over the speed limit. Everybody does it. You just got caught. Now, the problem is, why do 4 police officers have to come because my son is going 7, 8 miles over the speed limit? Right. He's my son, so he can pay the ticket. We're not worried about that. We just worry about why 4 police cars. So if he had been a different type of kid raised differently, he'd have been saying, blank, 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 we're all y'all here, blank, 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 right? But instead, he's just sitting there, and they got him on camera, and I love it. He said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. But he told me, but I was thinking the whole time, I can't wait to get home and tell them 4 police officers pulled me over, because he know we're going to go have the conversation with somebody. And we sure enough had a conversation with Warson Woods to kind of go, do 4 cars always come when somebody get pulled over? So we had a good conversation, and it's just one of those things that, can you see this? Can you tell? And the thing of it is, once you get his driver's license, you see, oh, he 2 blocks from home. So give him a speeding ticket and tell Billy, Joey, and Bobby, I don't need you on this one. We good.
Fall back.
That's all. Because it's just that perception. So how does he feel for the rest of his life with that having happened to him? And if he hadn't been raised the way he was raised, what would have been the response? Because I hate to say it, I'm glad he didn't see me, because he couldn't act like I did when I got put over by one. Why'd you put me over? I'm just saying. But I'm an older guy, and I feel like when I'm talking to somebody who I'm older than, almost like you young to be my son, hey, respect. What are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing? I know I look younger than 55. Now you're up close. You see, I'm 55. There's nothing to see here. Right. There's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
Yeah. It's just too many.
So it's just So we gotta come together, because it can't continue to happen.
Right.
And the frustration is going on, and there's so much happening that it has to be communication. We can't assume anything. Has to be respect. And I just think it has to be the police and the people really digging in and getting to know each other. And then you try to de-escalate something. Like, I don't know him, but if you start knowing somebody like him, you might be able to relate to him and go, hey, that's, because everything starts so small and becomes something big. Just like, how did we get here? We just can't assume, because everybody wants to go home. I get it. But it can't be that you overreact. And maybe there's a way you could find out that people are going to overreact, then maybe they shouldn't be doing that job to begin with, if that's how they feel. And I mean that, because I personally, I commend all my friends, Steve, who spoke, because I'm not a police officer, because I shouldn't be a police officer. And maybe if some people realize that for themselves, they shouldn't be police officers. Things have happened and come up, and unfortunately, those are the ones that give other police officers a bad name.
Right.
And that's unfortunate. But you don't know you shouldn't be a police officer until something happens, because sometimes it's just nothing happening, and then something happens, like, ooh, you probably should have been a police officer.
Yeah. So basically, stop doing things just to have a title.
Right. That's true. That's true. Or let's don't let the sixth oops be bad. We can't let Alvin Miller do 2 wrongs with police force A and allowed to go to police force B. And then when he does something that's beyond that, you go, he should have stopped being a police officer when he was with force A.
Right.
And that's, we got to start being honest with people, so more people can go home alive.
That's correct.
Well, we also need to put legislation behind some of this too.
Well,
so it would be blanket across the board.
You're right. But I'm going to say this. The NFL has a rule that says no clipping, and they still clip.
Right.
So regardless of what's on paper, we got to deal with people more than paper. But I'm not disagreeing with you. I just thought I'd put that out there.
It's all about the execution of the plan.
Right. Because slavery ended on paper, but they were still picking cotton, the people.
So like you said earlier in the show, I know your mother-in-law and your mother, civil rights advocates, voting, all of this, it never gets old.
It doesn't.
I just don't take any.
It doesn't. And what's so neat is that my kids are marching, and you talk about they doing what grandma and grandpa did, and it's just so neat how, but it's unfortunate they still have to do it. But they do. I mean, they call my daughter Megaphone Girl. That's the one who, when I realized, oh man, I need something to wear, and that's what she dropped it off for. That's my assistant. She got my back.
Yeah,
she got my. And it's funny. I call her Goat. And at the time, she was the greatest of all time. I call her Goat. She got my back. And when I say Goat, talking about Lala, no, Errol's Goat. That's
she's the real MVP. The real MVP.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So it's definitely been a pleasure to be able to get a little history from you, and some stories. And
I appreciate it.
To definitely get your background. Let's go ahead and talk about some current day sports before we get to our next segment, which we have our baseball and hockey insider join us very soon. So, real quick, let's transition real quick into the NFL. Had some games last week. Start off with last Thursday. Had an interesting game. The Giants and the Eagles played, in which Daniel Jones couldn't stay up on his feet, Bunny, after running 80 yards trying to get a touchdown. What happened?
Puffing, and he feels sore.
You talk about some an embarrassing moment, and what's crazy is that they say his top speed was like as fast as Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Could have fooled me. I mean, I'm only looking at one play. But...
So then Sunday's games, Detroit at Atlanta, another crazy game. You know it's bad for Atlanta when Todd Gurley, he's known, when he's with the Rams, he's known to stop before getting to the end zone to realize, hey, let me go ahead and down this ball so we can win the game. You know it's bad when you realize, wait a minute, I got to stop, and you can't stop fast enough, and you end up right on the goal line, and then the Detroit Lions is telling the referee, that's a touchdown. And then the Lions come back and win the game. So when you saw that play, what was going on through your mind, Alvin?
You know that's something that it been instilled in you since Little League football.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing when you see that play. And unfortunately, I'm gonna tell you something. My wife always says, "See, you fussed those boys about that and knowing what needs to be done, philosophy what should be carried out. And look at here, the pros can't get it right." And you go, well, yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Right,
That's a good
right,
point. You know, I'm
right.
fussing at middle school kids about doing it, and here are the pros giving the worst example. You know, and not getting it done and doing it the right way. You kind of go, really? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to coach that. You know that. You've been playing football. Come on.
And then, like I said, Todd Gurley, he's one of the only ones in the NFL who usually does that to perfection. But because of everything that's going so wrong with the Falcons, it just had to happen. It just had to happen with the Falcons. Cleveland at Cincinnati, another good game. The Browns came through to win by 3 points. But shouts out to Joe Burrows. He's playing his butt off.
He is. He's doing everything he's been asked to do. And someone made a comment about
Finally.
normally new quarterbacks have to sit 2 or 3 years. And years ago,
Man,
they really need to do that.
It's changed.
They just did, but they
don't do
did
that.
it. Well, one reason why they did it, because they always picked a quarterback when a great quarterback, you knew that great quarterback had 2 or 3 years left.
Yeah.
So really, you didn't need that guy yet. So I mean, Steve Young could have played, but he sat behind Joe Montana for 3 or 4 years, right? Whereas now they go, I got one better for you.
Right.
I'm getting rid of my big dog.
See ya.
And the dog I'm bringing in, he gonna play now. I'm not gonna have a stud quarterback sitting behind a star quarterback. So they're getting wiser now. It's not so much of these guys. The people are like, they should sit. No, they know it's football still. Play ball. And he's doing that, man. He's coming in with the maturity, the confidence. That's how it's getting it done.
And with the organization that at one time wasn't ran as good as, I guess, they finally getting it together.
Get the right quarterback makes a big difference.
Now you just got to make sure you get a steady O-line.
It's right.
Because
Right.
he gonna
Right.
be gonna be like Mark Bolger.
So you don't have any issues.
You better call blindside, right?
Yeah, he's gonna be like Mark Bolger if he don't get that O-line together.
Yes.
That's what I'm about to say. If you got injuries and your career done, it's from
Right.
all the hits. Your line got to protect you consistently.
On the other end, unfortunately, OBJ out for the rest of the year, torn ACL. Unfortunate. We'll see how that affects the Cleveland Browns. A good game. I was very impressed with this next game. Pittsburgh at Tennessee. Pittsburgh had the lead for the longest time, had a nice size lead, but then Tennessee started coming back in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter.
I couldn't believe it. I was watching that game because
And
I just knew Tomlin was going to have his
they
boys.
had it.
You know, when the league kept dwindling, they were going
Yeah.
to eventually get a bigger score and open it up again. But
And then Tennessee could have tied the game, but the kicker, former Patriot, Gostkowski, missed the field goal. But your impressions with the Steelers?
You know, for them to get it done like that, this early, the few games they've been going at it, and I just asked someone a few before the season started. I said, "Can Big Ben still get it done?" It's like they've been like, no matter what happens with Pittsburgh, they stick with who they have, and it's like it's never any noise, any static. They just keep going, and I think it's paying off. You know, it's paying off. I mean, you know, you can say the skies fall, all these other football organization, whatever, but they kind of stick with what they have. And as soon as it goes down, and here it comes, and I really think they benefited from. We're gonna just keep straight ahead with the same guys. And I just think here it is. I mean, that's just, you know, because it's not anything new. Pittsburgh's still Pittsburgh, right? It's just no magic to it. It's just that they've been there consistently. You get enough guys who kind of getting close, doing okay, kind of there. Their professions go boom, and they just stuck with it.
Yeah.
They had me looking for a new coach. Just stick with it. You know, I mean, look at Chicago when they got rid of Lovie Smith.
Right.
Right? So Tomlin had a worse year than Lovie Smith, but Pittsburgh, like, we know what you can do.
Right.
We know what's coming when things are right. Boom, and here we are.
And then for him to have
their franchise as a whole, the organization, the Steelers, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they
'Cause
do.
when they had their, they still got the same coach, still got the same quarterback when he's healthy.
Been there, done
Another
that.
year
They
or
get it
two,
right.
they're back in the playoffs. You know, they don't go off a knee-jerk reaction or emotion per se like another owner that's in Dallas. But clearly, if you look at it over the years, they ran well.
And then I was about to say, you know, you had some outstanding talent in Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, and they're still able to still do their thing.
Right, that's exactly.
You know, without them.
Exactly.
So That says a whole lot about, and it goes back to what I said earlier about basketball, Bunny. Culture.
Right, that's right.
You go with the culture.
And it's going to be tough if the road to the Super Bowl goes through Pittsburgh.
Yes.
It could be tough because the sun don't shine in Pittsburgh in playoff time.
It's windy.
It's windy. It's tough.
It's all bad.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
All right, next game.
That's funny thing, Mr. Miller. Wait, he said something about Ben Roethlisberger if he'd be able to come back and he's doing a good job. But what did I say at the beginning of this football season about the older quarterbacks? This is their season because pretty much all of them over 30. I'm just saying.
Jurassic Park.
He's throwing in arcade because they know they've been showing that stuff though. I mean, for real.
Yeah. Right.
They holding it down. Carolina at New Orleans. New Orleans won by 3. Buffalo at the Jets. Buffalo doing their thing. Oh man, Dallas. You talking about?
It ain't America's team no more. Thank goodness.
My God.
I'm so tired of that soap opera. They worse off than the dang on Falcons.
Jesus. Green Bay at Houston. Aaron Rodgers still doing his thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing, but it's just
old quarterbacks, baby. This their year.
It's their year.
You go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's fair. He's, it's amazing though. He gets it done, but so far not as much as we expected with his talent. But at the same time, that's proof it takes more than a quarterback.
But then he got some motivation too when they drafted that quarterback.
That's true. He got a reason.
He was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and show y'all real quick.
You're right.
Who I am. Why Stephen A. Smith saying he is that bad man.
That's right.
But on the other end, look how crazy things happen for Houston. Bill O'Brien messed up the whole organization. Messed the whole organization up. You was going to the playoffs the last 3-4 years,
right?
And you let go of your best
player. Let go of your best players, and that's when your owner, your general manager, you can't allow the coach to basically destroy what you have. You just can't. You just can't because you can't because you can't replace that type of talent. And you talk about the unity, what they have going on. You can't replace that. And unfortunately, now the coach is gone. It's like, now what do you have? Well, you're going to have a few more time before you get things going again.
Mm-hmm. So next game we have is Tampa Bay at Las Vegas. And the Buccaneers won. Looks like Tom Brady about to do it again and have that team going to a Super Bowl. Do you think they are the best team in the NFC right now, Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I would say, if not the best team, they're the hottest team right now. If I can say it that way, and the fact that he has another target coming in, it's going to really be it's really going to be interesting.
Yes, it is.
It's basically saying together again in Tampa. I mean, with Gronkowski,
right,
and then Antonio Brown. I mean, it's just like it's going to be interesting. It's like just different uniform, but same old thing.
And Bunny, remind me, what's the Mike Evans? You got him already.
Well, yeah. So it just it reminds me, if you think about it, when Parcells would go, he would just cut and paste. He went from the Giants, the Patriots, the Jets. He still had Dave Meggett. He still had his core players. He had a big, still 55, whatever on the roster, but still have his 6 or 7 players he would keep taking with him that would keep making a difference, that he had on it, that knew what he wanted to do. And that's where he kept bringing him along.
Now, Bunny, I asked last week. I'm going to ask again, just saying what you're saying. Is it more Tom Brady or was it more Bill Belichick that had the Patriots rise to fame and steady rise? Oh, she could be gone again. Bunny, you still there?
I am.
Okay.
So is it Tom with the Bucs or was it Belichick's system with the Patriots?
Mm-hmm. Is it more so Brady or was it more so Belichick? It looks like right now Brady is staying.
Brady's getting the wins and Belichick's getting them L's.
Yeah.
So it looks like it could be Brady. I mean, I'm a Patriots hater, but I was never a Brady hater because Brady has those stats for a reason. I mean, there's a lot of talented quarterbacks, but can't put up the number that he does. Now we know he's separated from the coach and he's still doing a good job. So it looks like his talent is superseding
I
because the
haven't
season.
I haven't watched every football game, but the football games that I do watch, I never seen a coach throw a pass.
Yeah, that's true.
You
And
know, coaches, when real good coaches set up their players to be in good situations, or at least can, get them from coming behind sometimes. But overall, your talent is still going to supersede the coach putting you in a situation because you have to execute it.
and someone brought this up a few days ago. And I was like, you know what? That makes sense. But the way how LeBron James left Cleveland initially to go to Miami because he knew that the team that he had in Cleveland wasn't enough to get him to where he wanted to go. Then when he went to Miami, he started seeing Wade and Bosh a little bit deteriorate, a little bit. So what he do? He left to go to Cleveland where he knew he could probably start bringing in
And here you go.
guys. He brought in Kevin Love. You already had Kyrie. You brought in other guys.
Right.
Then things faded in Cleveland. What he do? He went to L.A. Now, of course, back then he didn't have AD, but he knew when he started establishing himself,
Here it comes.
here it comes. Looks like Brady doing the same thing. He saw what was going down in New England and said, you know what? It's not looking quite bright. Let me see about other teams. And which brings me to this. I'm going to go ahead and add in now our baseball insider and hockey insider because you want to talk about a game coming up. Let's go ahead and bring in Joe. Joe, how you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. How are you?
We are doing well. Your thoughts so far on this interview we've had with Mr. Miller?
It's good. I just been listening a little bit off and on, just doing stuff around the house. But it's cool hearing about his history with football and stuff.
Most definitely. So I want to add this in. I think that's the reason why Jason Hayward left the Cardinals when he did, because he didn't see a future being bright. Remember how he was worried about Wainwright not going to be there forever. Molina ain't going to be there forever. The guys they had on that team during that time weren't going to be there long term. That's why he chose the Cubs, because he saw a better future. He saw the
And he got his ring, but look what happened now. The Cubs organization not looking good again. Just that fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did win the Central, so they ain't terrible, but they may not be in the same rank as when they won the World Series. But he got that ring. The Cardinals haven't got that ring.
Right, got this ring, and the organization's flipped just like that because they got the manager out of there. You said they won the Central. We know the competition in Central is still not there where we want it to be, but not getting off subject. But I'm just saying, sometimes the grass is green on the other side for 1 year, and boom, it ain't green.
And then, personally for his career, he hasn't been the same like he was when he was with the Cardinals either. But that's that. So next game, KC at Denver. Pat Mahomes. It doesn't matter if it's sunny outside, if it's snowing, if it's raining. That team, him and that team.
He's magical.
Yeah.
He's magical. He's a winner. You can't even the second half always gonna be better than the first half. He's just a winner.
Yeah.
It's gonna be neat as the season starts coming to an end. To kind of see with Pittsburgh back in the conversation. Kansas City is gonna be, but I said something when the Chiefs won a Super Bowl. I said they may not win next year, but they're gonna win 3 more in the next 7 years.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna as long as he gets some decent talent around him, it's about the quarterback, and he just has the hot hand. And the scary thing is, he has a young hand. He's young.
Exactly.
So once he learns more and gets it even more, it's gonna be something, man. And I tell you what, the Chiefs fans, they deserve it. I mean, they've been chilling for a
Been
long
so
time.
much.
They fill it up no matter what, man. It's no place to tailgate. Chief Nation, something else.
Yeah.
They get it. They get it.
Yep. And then for them to add in Le'Veon Bell to the offense.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
My goodness. Once
That's
he
almost
gets
like
in,
lights out.
Once he gets comfortable with the system, my goodness.
That quarterback with that type of running back, man, you know what that is.
Yeah.
That's it.
San Fran at New England. We talked about Belichick earlier. It looks like it's a wrap. Cam Newton got booted out the game, it's not looking good for him.
I was really, I was really surprised. I thought they would have be rolling. Cause I really thought but now not to make up an excuse for Cam Newton, but it's almost like back to what you said. Brady left for a reason,
Right.
and I think Cam Newton is seeing that reason.
But then also you think about it, before the season, he had a lot of guys who opted out.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So it's like,
That's
oh,
true.
that did happen. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest issues with Cam Newton's game has been accuracy.
Yeah.
So as good of a player he is, trying to evade and trying to make plays, the accuracy, especially being that kind of system, he has to be accurate. And his accuracy has never been something that always followed him. Kind of like Bader always striking out with the Cardinals.
and it's even more important when you don't have. I want to be careful when you don't have the receivers that are considered the best in the league.
Right. To help him make him look
Right.
good.
I mean, Tom Brady. You at the 1 year, you'd have to be too accurate when you have Randy Moss.
Right. We got Randy Moss on one side, Troy Brown.
Right. You know what I'm saying? You have to be right.
So
just throw it near.
You have them guys, and all of a sudden, kind of like just catch it like glue, just
Either way, it's cut right.
like a magnet. Jacksonville at the Chargers. Chargers won. Now, this game here, Joe. Seattle at Arizona. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but once again, we at the Arizona 5-yard line, and then Russell Wilson goes back for a pass towards the end zone. Got intercepted. This man runs all the way down the field, and all of a sudden, this big, huge specimen of a man, DK Metcalf, comes out of nowhere and tackles him down short of the goal line. Joe, what was your thoughts when you saw that?
So I was watching the World Series, and Brendan had it pulled up on his phone, and he showed me that, and my jaw literally fell to the ground. Like, we were just dying laughing, and then there's like so many different angles on Twitter, and then all the memes and videos started, and I was like, oh my gosh. But like, this guy was literally running, like, he would have beat us in a race on a drive to our house, like in our street. Like, the dude was flying down the freaking field, and like the video, I can't remember the guy that he caught for the Cardinals, but he was like, how in the world did he catch me? Because he was going 21 miles per hour, and Metcalf was going 22 miles per hour.
Right.
That just blows my mind that human beings can run that fast.
That was incredible. What was your thoughts when you saw that play, Alvin?
I just think it's amazing. I just think that it's when kids are watching, and unfortunately kids don't watch football like they used to. They play it, but they just don't watch it. And they could just learn and get motivated by watching such plays like that with the NFL.
It just shows don't give up on plays.
That's right. Keep going. Keep going.
Like, I've been to a few Rams camps, when they were in town out in Earth City, and I would always see how the whistle may blow, but the players keep on going. Like, they'll run an extra 20, 30 yards.
Still going.
You know what I'm saying? So I see that. I understand that. 'Cause you see it in practice. So you do what you do in practice, for real. Monday Night Football, that team in LA that Blaine doesn't like to say, beat the Chicago Bears. Looks like the Bears got put down to realization by one of the best defenses in football. What are your thoughts on the Rams, Alvin?
I think the Rams, when the Rams were in the Super Bowl, what was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Was it 2 years? Okay. I think that, people thought, they, so when some teams get there, the next year, here they come, right? And I just felt like, I think they're going to be out of what do you call it? A sail with no wind. And I just think that they're, I don't think they're the best in the NFC. I think success is there, but I think they're going to win, but I don't think they're going to get over the hump this year. That's just my, I think they've done the best they're going to do. Though they're good, I don't think it's going to be back to Super Bowl good.
Do you trust Jared Goff?
I think what happens sometimes, coaches have success early on because they don't know those coaches. And I just think once you dig in and get their tendencies, they're not really been around. I think after a while, the league, the other teams may not dominate them, but kind of catch up to them.
To adjust.
You know, that's you know, when you talk about an Andy Reid, been there, done it always, it's just different coaches. I just feel like he's not, you know, you get that early success, but is it because you're new to the party, or is it because how good of a coach you are? And I think part of it is still a good coach, but it was more so new to the party. But the party about to figure you out a little bit.
Right. And that's what I love about sports is that you go from that 1 year of, like you said, dominating.
Right.
To all of a sudden now, teams got a whole off season as a change to see. Okay, let's see his strengths, weaknesses, his
surprises are over. You can't surprise me.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of sports, man. Okay, you did this. Now see how you adjust.
Come back. Yep.
So next week, starting tomorrow, Atlanta at Carolina. Have New England at Buffalo, Tennessee at Cincinnati, Vegas at the Browns, Colts at Detroit, Minnesota at Green Bay, Jets at the Chiefs, Rams at the Dolphins. It'll be the first game for Tua T. See how he does in Miami. Then this should be a great game. Pittsburgh at Baltimore.
Oh man,
that should be a great game.
Like
I think Baltimore had a bye week last week too.
They gonna need it.
Yeah. Chargers at the Broncos, Saints at the Bears, San Fran at Seattle. That should be a good game. Dallas at Philadelphia. That should be whack. And Tampa Bay at the Giants. So you see Brady doing his thing versus the Giants. So that's football talk. Now, let's get right into baseball talk. As you see on the screen, last night, LA went crazy because the Dodgers won the whole thing. Joe, your thoughts? Because I know how you feel. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Alvin, you don't know this, but Joe is a huge, huge fan. She loves the Cardinals, but her other team is also the Houston Astros.
Oh, man.
He's got to tell everybody every time, every guest.
Yes, gotta make sure that's known,
That disclaimer has to be said up front before the conversation starts.
Yes.
Hey, it's on my Twitter. People know, so it's okay.
I'm not used to the Astros in the AL now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the team that Joe despises because this team said a whole lot about her Astros when the Astros won.
It's not the only reason, but continue.
Won the championship last night, the Dodgers. So seeing the Dodgers win last night, Joe, how did that make you feel?
I mean, I'm happy for Kershaw. Obviously, I love Kershaw. It's good to see him finally get that ring. Happy for someone like Vince Scully to be able to witness that again. Kike Hernandez. There's people on the team I like. I just don't like the team and the organization as a whole. But I mean, it didn't hurt me. It probably sucked watching that more than watching the Cubs win the World Series, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's weird tough. Or not, but the MVP should have been Kevin Cash.
Hey, last night I said on Twitter, I was like, when did they announce that Kevin Cash signed with the Dodgers?
Yeah, I literally wrote down a bunch of stuff about all this. I just couldn't believe my eyes watching that game, what happened and what unfolded.
So for those... I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say all the Dodgers players afterwards were in their interviews saying that they felt like weight lifted off their shoulders and they were so relieved that Blake Snell was taken out of the game. Mm-hmm. Kevin Cash didn't learn anything. The Astros forced a Game 7 in the ALCS because they took out Blake Snell too early. And then they put in their one reliever that's given up runs in 7 consecutive postseason games.
Right. And it goes to show that you cannot manage off of just statistics. You have to have the eye test. And sabermetrics
are ruining part of the game.
And if you saw it, for those who did watch it, Snell had it going on. He had Mookie. He had the top 3. They all struck out 6 times. Combined. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get a hit. But as soon as Kevin Cash took him out, all of a sudden, they, like you said, Joe, weight lifted. Now we can start playing ball.
That's that 2020 style managing. That's what they do now.
That's exactly. And as soon, like you said, Joe, as soon as that other reliever came in, base hits. That was the series, right?
Dodgers said Christmas is early. Bow, bow, hitting them bases, Here comes Christmas. Yes.
Exactly.
You knew it was
Exactly.
gonna happen as soon as he walked out there. Like it was already written. Like you knew Dodgers won it right then and there. That was
Yeah.
it.
It was like when Snell was out there pitching, they were seeing golf balls. But when the reliever came in, they started seeing beach balls.
Santa Claus was delivering them gifts early. I told you.
Yeah. So and then Kevin Cash, he admitted like he pretty much made a mistake because he was going off of what someone else was saying is like the organization. There was the organizational way, that they so big on sabermetrics and stuff like that. So it's kind of like it was instilled in him. But you get paid the big bucks to make tough decisions. You can't just go off and go, okay, it's an organizational way. No, they paid you for a reason, and that's why certain guys win the big bucks. Like, remember when earlier in the playoff or in a World Series, the fans booed Dave Roberts when he took out Clayton Kershaw, but he had to do what he had to do. You know what I'm saying? That's why you get paid the big bucks. And I'm sure, during your days, Alvin, you was under Lou Holtz, he gets paid to do what he had to do.
That's right. That's right. You manage the game. You can let the game manage you.
Right. So, with that being said, once again, congrats to the Dodgers. Let's talk about Bunny. Let's talk about after the game. Well, first off, during the game, Justin Turner was removed, and we was like, what's going on?
Right.
Dodgers won the championship, and it was reported he was removed because, oh my God, he has COVID. After all these days in a row, no COVID issues found. But
let's just say he didn't have it until the game. How do you finally pull those test results in the middle of the game? Like y'all were testing hours before that yesterday's game. It's just really, really weird to me. But okay.
But there's two reports out there, okay? So the first report was that he got a positive test on Monday. And then they said, no, it was inconclusive. This is the thing. Throughout the entire MLB season, not just the postseason, if anyone had inconclusive, you're not playing. The team's not playing. So I'm not going to sit here and compare between the last couple of years and playoffs or whatever, but Justin Turner was the second best hitter in that lineup. Seager, who won the MVP, batted like a 400. Turner batted like a 340 in the World Series with multiple home runs. And then he just so happens to get pulled out and after the Dodgers get the lead. It just doesn't seem right to me.
MLB knew what they were doing, for one, like you said, because of his status, and they did not want to lose their money and viewership for yesterday. So they definitely were not going to not let him play. That had affected too much money. But then, like I said, all of a sudden in the middle of the game, his test is negative, let's pull him. It makes no sense whatsoever. So whoever they fooling must have been somebody born at night, but I wasn't born last night. And I know they definitely did that on purpose.
Yeah, they knew going into the game that he was, he tested. But then,
too much money.
And then there was,
so.
Yeah, but then he comes out and celebrates with the team afterwards with no mask on.
That's the worst part.
If they talk about that super spreader, if them COVID cases rises and they think because he's a person, MLB has a whole other set of problems on their hands, because it's not just the players affected. Those people have families, and they go around people's houses, or even, they're saying the coach, he's just getting over cancer. His immune system is not, quote unquote, at 100%. That was real risky, but I was told, the players wanted him to be there. He helped them win it. This just seems like this narrative is not going to go away. I promise you. There's something that's going to go on behind the scenes.
Yep.
So, Alvin, with you being a guy who won state championships in the past, if you were put in that predicament in which a teammate of yours had COVID and you found out but y'all won a championship, how would you have reacted to what was done?
I think that just by looking at the celebration, maybe they'll never say it, but the guys who were on the end may have been stationed there on purpose, knowing I'm staying away from that. Susie's 5, Carol is 4, my wife has asthma, right? So they'll never say it, but they made sure they were positioned on the end of the group, away from where he was, which was in the middle of the group. And I think that anybody who wanted to be away from that could have. So with that being said, you get caught up in the moment. It's all exciting. You got some guys who go, to be honest with you, go, oh, he came back out? Don't even realize he was there until they saw the picture. Trust me, you're all wound up. But I would say that you get so caught up in knowing what you know about it, you're thinking, as long as I turn my head this way, if he stays there, there was no exact contact based on what we know from CDC, right? But still, I'd be like, oh, Joey, don't come over here, So it's just people get caught up in the moment, and it's I don't think we'll know nothing because I don't care if a guy's in the hospital for 3 days, we won't know. It's all over, won't be a parade. But I will say those Dodgers will go home and hang out in a certain part of their house, or they'll be tested as we speak. They're being tested because my daughter's tested every 3 days at UCLA. The players are tested every 3 days.
So from what I saw today, reports was that no one came back with a positive test.
Oh, they got okay. There you go. They got right.
I think there was like a Rays family member that was positive, which has nothing to do with Turner. But again, if there was an inconclusive test on Monday and now there's a positive, it changes. I don't know. I just know from what I see on social media and stuff, it sounds like you could not have it one day and the next day you can't have it. So who knows?
Right.
I just thought it was kind of fishy.
So next topic, the Gold Glove Awards were announced, and Colton Wong, Paul Goldschmidt, and Tyler O'Neill were all nominees for the award, and not Yadier Molina. Yadier Molina came out with the Instagram post basically saying, "I'm the best catcher in the game. This is crazy. I should have been a nominee. It is crazy how other guys in his division got the nomination." And then we found out later on that they made the results based off of, once again, Joe, numbers.
Computer.
Yep. They took away the human element of being a catcher because a lot of guys don't run on Yachty because they know what he can do, but they don't take that into consideration. So my thing is, if they had to do that kind of method of doing the Gold Glove Award and whatever, they just should not have had the award this year.
Right. You can't. You're not going to throw people out if they're not running on you to begin with.
Right.
And to me, just when so many things are changing because to me, people are being lazy and they want the computer to start picking who the best players are, as opposed to we know who the best player is, or at least we can debate. But we're not going to let this computer just go push the numbers in. Here's the answer.
Right. When
the numbers are flawed because certain things aren't done because the player's so good, you don't try to do those things against that player. So that's we know his paycheck would definitely reflect how good he is.
If because now he's officially a free agent.
Right.
Yep.
So that's a whole another thing. But Joe, did you have any thoughts on the Gold Glove decision, especially with Tyler O'Neill being a nominee?
Yeah, well, it's like whenever you tweeted that at me, it's like, well, Nico Horner is a nomination at second base, and he started 15 games this year at second base. Like, that's not right. And Yachty still had better numbers than Wilson Contreras if you looked it up. And base, like I'm not even that mad about Molina not being on there because, I get it, his numbers aren't as great as they used to be a couple of years ago, but he's still putting up elite numbers. But the three people that were nominated were all NL Central people. So you're telling me Yachty's the fourth best catcher in the NL Central? Doubt that. And second, I think JT Realmuto should have been up there because he's probably the best, the best catcher in all of baseball right now. So I was surprised about that. But whatever. I mean, I hope Wong wins it. I hope Goldie wins it. If O'Neill somehow wins it, whatever. But I just feel like if one award's going to be based off a computer, then you might as well do all the awards like that, which they won't. So I just think it's kind of silly.
All right, so as we wrap things up, a few more things that we had to discuss, a few hot topics. Once again, we talked about Yadier Molina being a free agent. This evening, on the Kevin Wheeler show, who we had on our show as well. Shouts out to Kevin Wheeler. Yadier Molina's brother, Benji Molina, said that Yachty does not want to go anywhere else, but he isn't afraid of being the free agent. He knows there are teams out there who would die to have a leader like Yachty on their team. One of the teams that they were discussing were the Yankees, which I'm like, man, hey, I can see that because they are needing that guy behind the plate who can control the pitching and be a leader. But
And
then,
Gary Sanchez can't catch a beach ball, so
right. But there was another team that was brought up today when I heard the fast lane that I was like, you know what? That would make perfect sense. And Bunny, tell me your thoughts on this. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
So that he could be rekindled with his homeboy Pujols.
Yes.
Hmm. 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 I could possibly see that. We know Pujols is at the end of his career as well.
Yep. And he would love to play with Yachty again.
One more time before they call it a career.
And
I could see that.
it's possible you can add another free agent now and Wainwright.
Wow.
Angels need pitching help too. Not that Wainwright's gonna like make or break
At least
a
it'd be a
rotation,
better
but
person to groom them younger pitchers along, because that's what's been wrong with the
Exactly.
Angels. They haven't had any pitching. Nothing. They've had Trout so long. It's like he can't. Not Trout. What's the boy name? Yeah, Trout so long. It's like this multi-million-dollar player that there's nobody around him all these years. So you only go to see him do offense, but the team never wins in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he should be ready to opt out once his contract's up. If the organization doesn't do anything to build around him,
Well, the problem
he's
is
been
he
out
just
there too
signed like
long.
a 8-year, 7, 8 year deal with no. I can't recall if he got an opt out. Joe, does Trump have an opt out? I don't think he does.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, so
But he's
he
getting short
signed
another
there.
stick because they're not doing anything to build anybody around him. I mean, if you want to say when they signed Pujols, but we knew he wasn't gonna do the same numbers because of his age. I mean, he's been there for 10 years now. Surprisingly, it's adding to his Hall of Fame stats, but overall, it's not impacting the game like that. But I can see Molina going out there, him hooking up with Pujols, and still the Angels not going to be winning. You know,
How about you, Joe?
I can see it happening. I was telling Brendan today that with all the stuff that happened and with how Mo was talking, I honestly, truly, sadly believe that Yachty, Wayno, Wallen, they're all gone. That's
Yeah.
just it. It's I don't know what more to say about it, but I mean, I can see the Angels being a place for both Yachty and Wayno just because they're veterans. They got a lot of young talent over there. They haven't really had many catchers over there, so Yachty'd be perfect for that. Wayno, like I said, pitching's been their main thing for the Angels. They can't produce pitching. Wayno would be cheap. He's not going to make or break your rotation, but he's a really good veteran presence. He
but
showed the
what
last.
about how much would Yachty cost him though? Because they still we're talking about that Trout contract, with that was record breaking when you signed it, and it's still a lot of money. Is everybody gonna sign for cheap? They still got that hefty contract with Pujols.
Yeah,
So
and
how
they
much
have Rendon as well, but I mean,
to get something to afford them?
They got money.
yeah, they got money. So that's one of my things I wrote down was this year with the off season coming up, like we can be mad as Cardinals fans, which trust me, I am, about the whole money situation and what they just did today. But besides maybe a handful of teams, as in the Yankees, Dodgers, Angels, Phillies, and possibly the Mets, everyone's going to be in the same situation that we're in, unless you got money like that and you want to spend stupid money, as the Phillies say. So, and I put the Angels on that list because, I mean, they have spent the money the last couple of years on the big offensive players. So, I don't know if Yachty's not going to get the 20-something million that he probably wants because I don't think any free agent's going to get that.
No.
George Springer won't get it. Trevor Bauer won't get it. No one's going to get it. It's just because of the stance of the game right now.
And he wants to make sure that he gets at least a 2-year deal too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
which you brought up on Twitter earlier, that you don't want to think about it too much, but it's very possible that 2021 may not be a good year, well, as good of a year as we hope would be for the Cardinals because of financial issues, in which Mozilla said today that the pandemic could be the thing that can have a negative impact for the organization because the Cardinals really bank on attendance, and they did not have that. So that's the reason why they're cutting people. Like they cut uh, the special advisors, Chris Carpenter, um, Jim Edmonds, Jason Isringhausen. They cut them from being special advisors right now because of cuts, because of cost. And then
Hmm.
now they didn't re-sign Colton Wong, so now Colton Wong is a free agent. They're not sure about having Yachty, Wayno, or both. And if that's the case, how can we really look forward to trying to sign a high-priced free agent to come to the team when they're looking at their budget like, I don't know, we may not be able to do
Well,
this.
yeah, not even a free agent. Like you still got people on Twitter right now saying, "Okay, Tommy Edmonds gonna be second. This would be perfect for Nolan Aaron." No, Nolan Arenado makes over his contract's over 100 million.
Right.
If we can't afford Colton Wong's $12.5 million contract, what makes you think we're gonna be able to afford Nolan Arenado? Because the Rockies aren't gonna take Fowler, Carpenter, or Carlos's contract off you.
And
So it's people are just unrealistic. You're just gonna have to pretty much take what the Cardinals are saying and reword it a little bit. Is we're rebuilding, and that's that.
and
They're
that's
not going to come out and say it,
that's
but
what I
that's what
said.
it sounds like.
That's what I said last week. I said it's time for a rebuild, a youth movement. Start putting in guys like the Kisners. Have Dylan Carlson run around, which he was anyway. But let's stop putting in all these older guys who trying to give them that one last shot. Like they ain't gonna say rebuild, they're gonna probably say reload. But but right now it's just to the point where it's time to say let's start playing the kids more. Let's have that attitude out there, and okay, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
It'd make it easier for me to watch next year if they came out and said, let's just watch the kids play. We're rebuilding, blah blah. It'd make it a lot easier to watch, but they're not going to say that, and so we're going to be stuck with Tyler O'Neill out in the outfield and Carpenter now playing third base probably every day because Manfred he wants to keep some things that he implemented this year, but not the DH. So now Carpenter's gonna have to play third base every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Our defense is what made us get into the playoffs the last couple of years, and guess what? Colton Wong's gone now.
Right.
And Yachty's probably gone now. So it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a weird winter, that's for sure. And like I said, it's not just for us. It's obviously frustrating because we're Cardinals fans, but it's gonna be like this for every single team, with the exception of a handful of them.
Last question. I'll ask everybody. Who will you take? Mookie Betts or Mike Trout? Joe, start with you.
I'm tired of this. It's Mike Trout. Come on, Fred. Just because Mookie has been on two good teams that the teams actually spend money, that's why he's got the rings. Mookie's probably gonna get more rings because he's on the Dodgers and they just buy their championships. Like it's Mike Trout. If Mike Trout, we could all agree by the numbers, Mike Trout is Mookie's too, and it's close, but Mike Trout is the best player on the planet when it comes to baseball. And like I said multiple times on this show, when it's all said and done, he's probably better than Babe Ruth.
Bunny.
Mookie.
Alvin.
Mookie, it's got to be some kind of factor in that for the fact that when he's there, things happen. Just like was it Hori? Who was it for the Lakers? Also for San Antonio?
Yeah, Ori.
Right, Ori. Okay,
Yeah, that's
that's.
Robert Horry.
I just feel like sometimes you gotta. It's something about that guy. He may not be the best, but if I'm an owner, I'm trying to win. So that it's just got to be something that's going on there. It's got to be something to it.
Yeah, like you said, Joe, Trout is an incredible guy. I just feel that to me, Mookie Betts has more intangibles, and I saw that in that series alone, like his arm. I mean, we know Trout is an outstanding outfielder as well. I'm not taking anything away from that, but I just feel that Mookie Betts has a little bit more intangibles And it's unfortunate that Mike Trout just is not with the right team where he can get more shine and more publicity like Mookie Betts has with the Red Sox and with the Dodgers. Maybe my stance would change if he was on a better team so he can showcase more. But I just feel like Mookie Betts has more intangibles than Trout.
Yeah, I got an argument for you then. You ready for this?
Let's go.
Okay. Who would you rather have? Connor McDavid or Pat Maroon?
Well, of course, because he got the rings, people may say, because he's a winner, they may say Pat Maroon because of what he brings to the team. But then
that's the thing, though. I'm saying Nick Punto has a World Series ring with us. Nick Punto, okay? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's Connor McDavid is Wayne Gretzky of our generation. He's probably better than Wayne Gretzky. But the guy, they can't put other players around him. Pat Maroon is put on good teams. We're a magical team with us. And he's got his name on the cup 2 times.
So wait. Are you comparing Nick Punto to
the great one?
to Mookie Betts?
Oh,
no, I'm not comparing him, but that's what I'm saying. He's got a ring. You guys are mentioning that he's got 2 rings.
Oh no.
So yeah, that's awesome and all, but like Pat Maroon's on the cup twice and Connor McDavid isn't on there once.
Well, I mean that's the same thing as saying who you take, Kevin Durant or Judd Bushler from the Bulls. You know what I'm saying?
You Judd Bush out of all people, you go with Judd Bush for these comparisons. Really?
Yeah, I don't even know who that is.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
He was on the Bulls. The second.
You know I'm not a basketball person, so.
Right.
Well, he was on the second 3P with Michael Jordan.
Some basketball people don't even know who that is, so that don't be.
He was like what, the 8th man off the bench? I mean, that's what I'm telling. But he got rings because he was on the second 3P with Michael.
Right. No, I mean, yeah. To me,
all I'm saying is Mike Trout's numbers. Look up Mike Trout's numbers and compare the Mookie's. Mike Trout's better, and add up all the MVPs. There you go. He's the best in the game.
Yeah, I feel you. Like I said, you can't go wrong with.
Like I said, Mookie's too, though. There's like. I guess you can't go wrong with saying Mookie's up there, but he's definitely 2 in majority of people's eyes.
Yeah, and then like you think about how they're being used too. Like Trout is usually in the 2nd, 3rd spot, while Mookie is usually like a leadoff hitter too. So, like I said, it's just all about how they're being used. And last thing, no Winter Classic. So the Blues and Minnesota Wild, they got canceled because of COVID. Damn COVID once again. Hopefully the Blues.
I don't understand why they don't want to have it without the fans.
I mean, something like that, they want to have fans there. It's such a big deal. Like today, they just announced.
Okay.
They just announced the Super Bowl is going to have 20% participation from the from attendance. At first, they didn't have no plans on having fans there, which I pretty much knew they're gonna change their mind. If the Super Bowl.
They don't want to miss out on that money.
Exactly.
You already know.
Exactly. So that's why the Winter Classic getting canceled right now or postponed because they want to make sure they have fans at the game, because that's going to be the hockey's money maker, especially with hockey being the least out of all the major pro sports, being the least profited sport. So, but with that being said, everyone, it's been an incredible show.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yes.
How awesome was it watching Rob Manfred get booed last night and was crying on national television because of it?
It's the same feeling I have when
he's the new Bettman.
That and when you have the NFL draft and you always seeing Roger Goodell getting booed. I love it.
Yeah, like he looked like so like
he's like, oh my God, they booed
shocked
me.
that was happening. That he like didn't know that people hate him. Like it was amazing. I loved it. So yeah, I just had to. That was the only good thing in like the last 24 hours in sports is seeing him get booed.
So next Wednesday, former pro athlete, coach, motivational speaker, author, entrepreneur, and philanthropist Bernard Quinn will be in the getaway. It's going to be another fun show, so we look forward to having him on. Once again, with that being said, Alvin Miller, thank you, brother.
I enjoyed it. Memphis, here I come.
Hey, here we come to
Okay.
Not just playing. But Bunny, thank you again for being there. Stan, I know you're doing your thing, getting to the money. Joe, you take care of yourself, and I know
Baby Joe. And baby Joe, T-minus how many weeks now?
30 weeks now, so
Woohoo! Home
we're getting
stretch,
there.
baby. Let's go.
Still stressing Brennan out, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, Brendan. Hold on, man.
This is the easiest part right here. Yeah, shoot.
All right.
He gonna get elbowed enough when it's time to wake up in the middle of the night and feed the baby. So he got it made right now. To let him know.
That's it. And everyone watching, once again, thank you for tuning in. We had an incredible time. Hope y'all enjoyed yourselves. Share this video, the stream. Give us some likes, some follows on Facebook, on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. And, of course, on YouTube. It's very important to everyone right now, when you see this video, to subscribe and then click on that
Bell.
because anytime we go live,
you will be notified.
y'all have a great rest of y'all week. Be safe out there in the streets. Memphis, I know you see you going to Memphis.
Yes.
So have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Spread
And
the
stay
word.
healthy, Mr. Miller. Stay healthy.
Thank you. I will.
Spread the word about the Platform Sports Talk Show. We have a lot of great guests coming up. Everybody be safe. Joe Bunny, stay on as we do a little debriefing after the show. Everybody else, it's the Platform Sports Talk Show when it's about sports.
It becomes our business.
And business just picked up. We out, right, we out. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.